Austin, can you hear me?
Hey, Bob, can you hear me?
I sure can. Can you hear me?
We sure can. Perfect.
Let me start the video so you can see if I'm coming through that way. There I am. I can see you. So, Austin, how was the Christmas party last night?
Good, Bob. We're live. It
Did
was
you
good.
break any of Kim's furniture?
It was a good get together, and I know all the volunteers that we have, all the board members that attended, they all were very appreciative, and everybody had a good time.
Good.
It's something that it's good that we're able to do this for all the board members.
Absolutely.
I know they really appreciate it, and they give so much to the community. So giving them a nice dinner is the least we can do.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't there, but oh well.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm gonna get us set up with a few more things, but let me know if you need anything. Okay.
I'm gonna cut my video and mute.
Okay.
I did. I just turned it on. All right. Good evening. I'd like to call the regular council December 13th, 2022 to order. I do determine that we have a quorum. We are missing Mayor Polino. As soon as he gets here, he will take over. Maybe. I see that we have Councilmember Mark Elise participating remotely. So if I could get a motion to allow that. Further discussion? All's in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Hey, Bob. Okay, adoption of the agenda. I need to move on consent, item D, number 7, move that to new business. And I guess I would just be adding a new number 7 then, Austin? All right, so I'm going to add a new number 7, consider adoption of ordinance amending the general fund budget to move funds from contingency to meals and mileage accounts. And then does anybody else have any changes, additions, subtractions? Andy? You good? Bob, you good? Okay, we'll say Bob's good. Wayne, you good?
Good.
All right, thanks, Bob. Jamie, you're good? All right, so I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance. See, we got the topper on now? All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which
Stands one nation under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. Next up, public comment period. Do we have any public comment? Sure, we'll start with that.
First up is from Gregory Scott Denton. He is the Transportation Director for Union County Public Schools. He sent in a letter. Kim, would you like to keep the time?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Amos, thank you for taking my call this morning regarding the parking ordinance under consideration for Yellow Jasmine. Per our conversation, I wanted to summarize the impact to residents and parents from a school bus stop perspective so that the village council could consider the best way to address parking at the entrance to the preserve. Union County Public School Transportation operates 213 yellow school buses serving over 21,000 students in Union County. For the past 10 years or more, attracting qualified school bus drivers has become increasingly challenging. The COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated this challenge, resulting in the parking of approximately 75 school buses due to a lack of human resources, drivers. As a result, Union County Public Schools Transportation consolidated bus stops, which allowed our school buses to double back for a second load. This strategy, while not preferred and inconvenient for parents, was necessary to simply provide reliable transportation services for our families and students. Consolidating bus stops has created additional opportunities to address, which obviously include the parking issue at Yellow Jasmine. The most reasonable solution appears to be sending the school bus back into the neighborhood to make added steps, thus alleviating the parking issues. However, the consequences of the solution make it infeasible due to the following. Route distance and time increases for every added bus stop and subdivision that a bus enters. The result is that the second load of students have to wait longer for the bus to return to campus, which increases the amount of time teachers must supervise students after school. It also frustrates parents that have students assigned to the second load because their child will arrive home later. The effects of solving the issue at Yellow Jasmine by adopting a parking ordinance will likely spread to other non-gated subdivisions. The more bus stops added to a bus, the longer the bus route takes, again, creating additional supervision issues at our schools and causing delayed student delivery home for other families. Of course, Union County Public School Transportation realizes the importance of safe ingress egress for all neighborhoods. However, it is important to be able to provide safe and reliable transportation for families and students. It is our desire to have the Town of Marvin Council consider an alternative to ensure safe ingress egress during school hours. Limit no parking to the side of the street without sidewalks instead of an ordinance limiting parking on both sides of the street. And if parking is to be limited, then prevent parking anytime on one side of the street. The thought here is that ingress egress may be affected during non-posted hours if there is a reason other than waiting for a school bus for parking to occur on both sides of the street. Union County Public School Transportation needs to maintain the ability to drop off students at the entrance to neighborhoods as we do throughout Union County. Having visited the entrance to the preserve, when students get on and off the bus, it appears that the alternative proposal would serve as a good compromise to help both local government and our schools realize important objectives. And the remainder of the letter will be in the agenda packet.
Yeah, we can finish reading it. Thank you, Austin. All right, Mayor Planish is here at 6:03.
Okay.
Duly noted.
603, Mayor Polino.
Uh-huh.
I have
Um,
my keys to my car, so I could not get my car.
I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next comment. This is from Natasha Brizzolara from 7001 T Olive Road in the Preserve. I'm writing in regards to the issue of the bus stopping at the entrance of our neighborhood and therefore causing traffic at the entrance. I, for one, believe that the one-stop location is highly dangerous for the kids and drivers, but at the same time, I believe that if there is only one stop, there will be traffic no matter the location of the stop. We only have one exit and entrance, which is not ideal. I hope you all can come up with a solution that is safer for the kids and community at your next meeting, as I'm not able to attend. Next, we have a comment submitted from Marion Brockman from 4069 Flowering Peach Road, also in the Preserve. Ms. Amos, this has been going on since last year. I have called the school last year and this year along with the village 3 times. I pay my taxes and my HOA dues. I do not think it's too much to ask to be able to enter my development without hitting a car or a child running across the road to a waiting parent in a car. If there is an accident there or an emergency and a responder can't get in, who is responsible? I sincerely think the only way you can handle this is no parking or the bus comes in and stops somewhere else. To have kids running across the road as cars enter is dangerous and is a disaster waiting to happen. If you can find a way to fix this without parking signs, I am fine with it. I just want to be able to get to my house without getting into an accident with a car or child. And we have one from Katie Ewing of 4061 Flower and Peach Road. I'm a resident of the Preserve at Marvin neighborhood and was just made aware of the proposed no parking ordinance for Yellow Jasmine Road. My understanding is that this ordinance is being voted on due to the large number of cars that park in front of our neighborhood from approximately 1:50 until 2:15 every weekday when the elementary school bus drops off students after school. While I do dislike the number of cars there and do appreciate that this is a safety issue, I believe it is one that should be fixed by a Union County Public Schools Transportation Department and not the Village of Marvin. The bus previously stopped multiple times in the neighborhood, and we recently became only one of 2 Marvin neighborhoods that the bus will not enter. Our residents have been complaining to Union County Public Schools about this and plan to continue doing so until a change is made. At any point, they could change their minds and render the ordinance unnecessary. Additionally, putting up road signs in our neighborhood would not be consistent with the aesthetics of the Village of Marvin and would upset members of our community to have that be the first thing people see when entering our community. Also, I believe the potential ordinance would not actually stop parents from driving to the bus stop, but would simply move the same traffic down the street. Parents of kindergarten students must be present at the bus stop, and even those of us with older children don't want them to walk all the way to the back of the neighborhood alone at the end of the day, especially when the weather is bad. Thus, the parked cars aren't going away until the bus moves the stop into the neighborhood or makes multiple stops again. And since we never know when Union County Public Schools might move the stop, the signs and ordinance seem unnecessary as they won't really stop the parking issues. We, the moms of elementary school students, would greatly appreciate you either voting no on this ordinance or postponing your decision so that we can continue to attempt to find a solution with the school district. I need a glass of water. Yes, let me grab this sheet because I think someone has signed up. Okay, we have Karen Kitzmiller from from 12,020 Carolina Cherry Lane.
Yeah, if you could, yeah, come up to that mic, no, if, right here, I'm sorry. If you'll come to that microphone so it'll pick it up on the thing, and if you'll just state your name and your
Okay.
address.
All right, Karen Kitzmiller, 12020 Carolina Cherry Lane, also in the preserve at Marvin. I support the ordinance to restrict the parking. My husband and I both work from home, and we have both encountered this experience of the traffic jam on Yellow Jasmine. One time I pulled into the neighborhood from Marvin School Road. The bus had let off a minute or so earlier, so it was no longer there. Turn left, there's cars everywhere, both sides of the street. A child walking down the street with no regard to what's going on around him. It's very dangerous. Of course, I stopped. Another car stopped behind me, had a third car come in, they would have been jutting out into Marvin School Road. Another time, my husband has been stopped behind the bus. It pulls away, he turns right into the neighborhood, same thing. And you know, when the bus is gone, sometimes people whip in when they're turning right. And you know, that could create a very dangerous situation. So first and foremost, this presents a horrible situation for the kids. It's dangerous. We don't want any accidents to occur with them. Secondarily, it creates congestion and potential car accidents as well. I can empathize with what UCPS Transportation, what they wrote in just now, and I can empathize with all the other parents too. However, the distance from Yellow Jasmine to the very end of Flowering Peach is half a mile. And, you know, assuming the children have all capability for walking, that is not a far distance. And if their parents don't want them to walk alone, they can easily walk up to the front of the neighborhood and collect them. I know when I was a child, I walked to school half mile each direction. It was not a problem.
Good
So-
snow uphill both ways.
In the snow, uphill both ways, because I'm a Gen X and we got into it. So I support this and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Austin?
That is all the requests.
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, come on up. If you'll just come on up to the microphone and state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
All right, I'm Raymond KK. I live in the preserve, 10004 White Dogwood Lane. I have a kindergartner and a first grader, so I completely understand the chaos and the safety concerns, right? But at this point, you know, it's beyond our control because the school hasn't decided to have the school bus come all the way in because it's short of staff. So if we pack all the way down the street on Flower and Peach or so, with our kids in the cold, and there's a lot of cars. It's a long walk every time to go and pick up these kids, right? So I think, you know, ultimately, you know, we're going to continue to work with the school district to enable them, have multiple stops within the school. But at this point in time, since that's not done, I think we probably, you know, my vote or, you know, as a resident here and a taxpayer is that we should delay making this decision until we can come up to some conclusions with the school. Because it's very, very inconvenient. And my wife picks up the kids, she works from home, to be able to park and walk 10, 15 minutes to pick up the kids and 10, 15 minutes back. That's a big difference compared to what we do today. It literally only takes 5 or 10 minutes. So I understand it's inconveniencing, but it's only 5 or 10 minutes of chaos every day. And it's only when the schools are there. Right, so I think if there's a way we can delay this decision until we come up with a conclusion for the schools, I think the parents of little kids that are out there every day, we didn't pick up their kids, are gonna appreciate that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It's the last name is Okeke? All right, thanks.
All right.
You just saw these photos.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk, we've got it on the agenda, right? So we're going to talk about it later. Yes. Okay. All right. Mr. Mayor, would you like to take over now?
Sure.
I don't think anybody else wants you to, but that's okay.
I get that a lot. Okay, next up, we have presentations. Presentation from Detectives Brandon Troll and Jessica Hines, the Union County Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigation. Bureau of Investigation.
Okay, let me speak. First off, I want to thank you guys for allowing us to be here. We didn't know the audience we were going to speak to. We didn't know if it was going to be like actual citizens or council members. So we kind of made it for both. But this is basically just, especially during the holiday season, we just wanted to just reach out to people and hopefully give a little bit of tips and techniques on how we can help you guys prevent crime in your areas and neighborhoods and things like that. So you got to hit the space bar, Eric. All right. So as we all can see here, one of the greatest movies of all time.
Absolutely.
We don't have to play the video because I'm sure everyone is. We're trying to speed it up for you guys. So, but anyways, just lights in general, lights on vehicles, lights outside your house. I know in my house I have a nightly routine where I lock my vehicles, lock my doors, and turn all my outside lights on. It's a deterrence for crime. It's a deterrence for thieves. It literally shines bright, so it's just one of the things that I do. And hopefully, if people don't do them in their communities, hopefully they can start. So this is a crime map. You can access this on Union County's website. And I'm not going to read it verbatim, but there's over 170 reports of burglaries to vehicles, motor vehicle thefts, and/or home burglaries since June 10th. And this does not include attempted. So that's a lot. And that is just for this area. Me and Detective Hines are the only two detectives for this immediate area. So we have a pretty large workload, but we're very diligent on how we work. We're very dedicated, and we want to try and catch every single crime that occurs in this area. Ultimately, it's hard, but we do our best with the resources that we have. But this is entirely too much, and we want to try to limit that as much as possible. And then right here is most of, if not all, motor vehicle thefts and car break-ins are due to people leaving their cars unlocked. And also, it goes without saying, if your keys are in your car will be missing if you leave your keys in there and it just happens to be broken into.
Usually when these suspects, they get inside our cars, they try to start them. Most cars nowadays are push to start. So they attempt to push to start and then they figure out, well, perhaps someone's left a key fob in here. So this is our free car and this is what we're going to take. And then when they take the cars from our area, they go and commit other crimes, either Mecklenburg County, Iredell County, you name it, they do it. And it comes back to us, our victims.
That's a pretty big area. I'm trying to figure out where we are exactly.
So we call this we have zones.
Yeah.
So
This is a zone,
This is a zone.
your zone.
We're
Yeah.
our zone. We're considered zone 4. That is Wesley Chapel, Weddington, Marvin, the outskirts of Waxhaw, and a little bit down toward Monroe.
Okay.
I think the furthest top right is Forest Lawn, and it goes all the way down to the North Carolina, South Carolina.
Okay.
So I know Marvin is a very small area of that, but we just wanted to include everything in this general area because Marvin is a very highly dense area. A lot of high value things, high value homes, things like that. So.
And I want to say, some of the suspects we've interviewed, I'd like to ask them, why do you pick Union County? Why do you choose us to come and do these string car bennies, or you like to come steal our cars? And every single one has told me that they Google nice, rich neighborhoods, somewhere that they know that, it's a safe community. We're in the comfort of, we live in a safe place. So they know that when they come here, they're going to find cars unlocked, things that are being left in the car, that sort of.
May I ask a question or do you want to save it
Sure,
for the end?
you can ask.
Would you,
Sorry.
this matters because we're discussing this later, is gates. Do they do much?
So I will say most gates have a code on them. And so I do think that they're very good, obviously, for their own reasons. The only issue that you would have with that is, obviously, if you've got someone in the neighborhood who's got a friend and they give the gate code to them and then that friend has the gate code and gives it to it. Obviously,
Sense of security.
Right. It's obviously it's not as common, but we have seen it where, someone feels safe to leave their car unlocked, leave the keys in their car because they're in a gated community.
They leave their key fob and then the people, the wrong people get their
Yeah.
hands on key fob.
Right. Yeah, it has happened. It's just not common, but it has happened. So, and then these are some videos. Obviously, we're going to keep it brief, but the video on the, you have to actually go over and press play. I'm not the most technical savvy, so. So the one on the right is basically, yeah, you can play that one first. You can play them both at the same time. No, down there to the bottom left. Yeah.
Lost the mouse.
This is the same vehicle in these two videos. It's in the vehicle right, guy had the vehicles locked, pulled the handles, and they just moved on about their business. Video on the left, both of these vehicles are unlocked, and they're the same suspects on the same night, actually. And they actually get into these two vehicles and free pickings on whatever's in there.
Same neighborhood?
I don't know if it's the same neighborhood. I think it is. I think these are just like a couple of houses down, if I'm not mistaken, like on the same street and everything.
Is there a particular time they strike as far as,
Usually it's,
I mean,
after midnight, more than likely, between 12 and 4, because they know law enforcement schedule. I mean, they study it. They know when someone's working, when someone's not working. I mean, to say that they're not smart is not giving them enough credit, to be honest, even though I don't want to give them any kind of credit at all, but they do their homework, so to speak. But yeah, these are the same two videos. I don't know why I wrote it, but.
So,
The one on the right's all lit up. Doesn't seem to deter them at all, that the.
Right.
Yard is lit.
Exactly. And we're not saying that, leaving lights on.
Stop crime.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
But it's just something that can help deter them.
Yes.
And if your car is locked, a lot of people say, well, if my car's locked, they're gonna smash my window.
Right.
More than likely not. Does it happen? Yes. But when they do that, they're making a lot of noise in the middle of the night. They don't want to make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Normally, when we come out with these break-in and enter into the vehicles, they leave the door cracked because they don't want to shut the door and make just a little bit of noise because they don't want anybody to know that they're out there.
so Mayor Polino asked if gates are effective. What about the flock system? How do you guys
Well,
feel
we'll
about
get
that? Okay.
patient?
That's foreshadowing. She's good. Yeah, she's good. So these are just other videos. We don't have to play them. It's pretty much the same scenario. Someone pulls up to the house, pull on the door, and they either get in or they don't, because the vehicle's locked or unlocked. Obviously, most suspects wear gloves and masks to hide their identities. A lot of times we do get fingerprints on vehicles, and I will say, I know this is live stream, correct? So if there's anyone listening, if your car gets broken into, please do not touch it. I know this is hard to understand that it's been broken into without actually getting inside of it, but it just helps us out.
Right.
It helps us because if we can fingerprint it or dust it off for fingerprints, we can hopefully get the identity of somebody and obviously catch whoever it was. And obviously don't leave your valuables in plain sight, and please, 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 please take your guns out of your cars. So this is just another video, same scenario again. This is the same truck. Obviously the video on the left, the guy gets in and he realizes that the vehicle's unlocked. He goes through it. And then, like she was saying, they press the push button and figure out the car turns on. And like, oh, wow, I'll get a free car. And if you see on the road up here on the if you see on the road, there's a car in the middle of the road just waiting on this guy right here. There's two cars that pass by him. So we ask, please, if you see something suspicious, because if I was a driver in the middle of the night and I passed by a car that's sitting in the roadway, I mean, I would think it'd be a little suspicious in my opinion. So we ask if you see something, no matter if you think it's dumb or, not worth our time, please call 911 and just give us anything to go off of. Because a lot of these cases we get, there is a little bit of camera footage, but I mean, we don't know who that is. We don't even know what kind of car that is. And you won't have a tag or anything like that. So anything that we can get, like a previous call from the previous night, giving a car description, I mean, we could link that to a multitude of different things if we have yes.
You say call 911.
Mm-hmm.
My community is a small community, but if I call 911, I get Charlotte.
Okay.
So I tell all people in my community to call the sheriff's dispatch office,
Right.
and I've given them the number.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, whenever you call the sheriff's dispatch then transfers you to the 911 call center, then the 911 takes your info.
And I've also instructed everybody there, if they're out walking or if they see anybody on the ring, comes through there a couple times in a night, because after 10 o'clock till about 6 in the morning, we don't have anybody.
Right.
But if they see anybody, is to make, if it's somebody stopped and you're walking something, you take a picture of their license plate.
Right.
Absolutely. It's very helpful.
So say my car gets broken into, okay? I notice it's broken in. There's no imminent threat. They're gone, but they've damaged the car. That is not a 911, is it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It is?
Yeah. No matter if you think it's an emergency or not, just call. Because people, I mean, it just helps us because
If there's a crime that occurred.
yeah, it's a paper trail in a sense. Yeah,
Because
and it just helps
there
us.
was another number I had for Union County that circumvented the 911 but I waited forever on it. And then I called 911 when we had an issue where someone went through the roundabout.
Right.
Someone witnessed it, they called me instead of 911.
Yeah.
But I tried to call the sheriff's officers, they were not on duty, but then I called the Union County number I had. It kept me on hold forever. Then I went into the system and they shoot me over to Union County, but I don't realize that I'm still on the 911 taking up their
Right, so
time. So they had to get me off and they gave me another number and it got me right into
Well, we can
Union
give you a
County.
number that goes straight to our office where we have
Yeah.
24/7, we call them dispatchers, but they're
Right.
constantly in there. And they can transfer you to our 911 communications center. And
Okay.
then that way you will,
Yeah.
you'll go right into there. Won't be
Okay.
no going back and forth between Charlotte
Right.
and you.
Because at the end of the day, if you call a non-emergency number, they're still going to transfer you to 911. So even if you don't think it's an emergency, I would just call to be safe. And that way there's like a call log where we can go back and look at it as well.
I think it goes back to like when citizens see something that's suspicious. We want to get out there as fast as possible.
Yes.
We want to get out there, talk to them, get their information, so we can have that in our system, just in case something comes along. 24 hours from then, 2 days from then, hey, we already talked to this guy. We had his description, what he was wearing on such and such night, and we have that documentation.
So if it happens at 2 a.m. and you see the thing and we call you, what's the turnaround time on this?
So
That's gonna be
patrol-
next morning, right?
Yeah.
Right.
No, well, for us, yes. But
But you're saying not to touch anything, which means
right.
Right.
not,
And patrol, the patrol deputies that will respond if you do, obviously, if you see a suspicious person at 2 a.m. and you call, a patrol deputy will respond, they'll know that whether the car was broken into or not. And if it was, then they have kits in their own vehicles.
Okay.
They should, where they can fingerprint, or if they don't, we have our own crime scene, which they could call and they come out. So, but you'll end up hearing from us eventually, just not still the next morning.
Gotcha.
So bring you to the license plate readers. We cannot promote any brand of license plate readers. That is completely up to whoever purchases those license plate readers. I do know that Marvin has a lot of flock cameras where we actually monitor them 24/7. We get alerts on our phones for tags that are red that have warrants or suspected gang violence, stolen vehicles, stolen plates, anything like that. So Flock is a very good system. We just don't promote them. But any license plate reader in anywhere is super, super, super helpful for us in our jobs, because too many times we do, we investigate a crime and say we got video footage, but we don't know who that person is, because either the video is very grainy or obviously they're wearing face covering. But if we can get a vehicle, we have all sorts of avenues we could go down, which is why the license plate readers are very good, helpful techniques for us. So we're asking for help as well, because a lot of the times they're in beginning and entrances of neighborhoods, which are great. It would be great if they're on actual roadways, like a roundabout, because a lot of the times, I know this is not imminent in your complete area at the moment, but especially in Weddington, Antioch Church, Weddington, Matthews, there are no cameras whatsoever, and it goes straight up to Charlotte. So a lot of the times people and they know that, and a lot of times they're coming down through there, committing crimes, and then going right back up through there. And we don't have any leads at all. So
Christina, how would that work if it's like a DOT maintained road? What do we do? Get an encouragement agreement and we just pay for it?
so
When we have these license plate readers, they really help us tell us if we can get them on as many roads, streets as possible. It kind of gives us a timeline where they're coming from. Are they coming from South Carolina? Are they coming from Charlotte? Are they coming from Monroe? And then that gives us a little bit more, hey, this is a lead we got. You know, they came from Monroe. Let's start looking at Monroe. So.
and let's also piggyback off of the South Carolina. There are also multiple flock cameras in South Carolina. So we could track them even into South Carolina to see where they're going there. Because I mean, you live so close to the line here. And Charlotte has their own cameras up there, but we have access to call them with any sort of tag information that we get to see if it's ran through their camera system, and they're able to tell us that. So we're just trying to get I was talking about paper trail, a license plate trail, which would help us figuring out where they came from or where they're going. So we pretty much already talked about our goal. Our goal obviously is for there to be license plate readers specifically in high dense areas, roundabouts, intersections, things like that.
Yeah, go ahead. A lot of people have a question of, will my personal information be given when my tag is captured by this camera? No. It only takes a picture of the car and it takes a picture of the license plate. And then we just have access. That just gives us something where we can go in our law enforcement database and then run that tag to figure out who it belongs to.
Yeah. So obviously, holiday season's coming up, and most people do their shopping online. I know I do at my house as well. People just try to deliver packages at home when someone's going to be at home. Be helpful to us because obviously people can come around and steal packages. It's not really a bigger thing as it kind of used to be, but it still does happen. And then obviously don't leave bags in the back of your car, because if they see something they want, they will break your window in your car. Like a lot of times people leave purses and things like that. I know we've had the issue in the park in Weddington. A lot of times people leave purses and they go to the ball game and then they come back and their windows broke out. And like we were saying before, we're not saying that it's not going to prevent keeping your doors locked. It's not going to prevent all crime, but more than likely someone just snatching and grabbing, pulling on handles, that's more than likely what these people are doing. It's very seldom that we get a broken window. I mean, unfortunately it does happen, but if we leave valuables in the car, or don't leave valuables in the car, we can kind of alleviate that as well. So.
Safety and issues like that, one thing that's brought up that they now do now.
Yeah.
That's probably the time.
Absolutely. And I also, with Amazon, I have a garage door app where Amazon actually opens my own garage door when they deliver a package and they close it for me. And I get notifications when it opens and closes. And I feel safe with that because I have a camera in my garage so I can, see what they're doing, if they're doing anything suspicious. So, which is also an option for people if they do a lot of online shopping and they're not home. And then we just put this picture in just to see that they broke that window for a purse. And, but we want to thank you guys for your time, and we hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. And if there's any more questions, we would be happy to answer.
And Brandon, can you send me a copy of this presentation?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll put it in our minutes.
I'll send it to your, it might be too big to send on an email. So if you want to,
Thank you.
If you want to save it to your thing now, or however you're going to do it, it's up to you. We can, but thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Discuss and consider approval of branding system prepared by Alder.
Sean, you're up. You are muted.
Hey, thank you. I feel like I've learned something tonight too. I need to check my car more often, make sure everything's locked up and lit up. So I am going to share presentation from my end.
And Sean, they have a printed copy in front of them too.
Oh, great. So let's see here.
All right, I'm gonna make that bigger on our screen.
Okay, am I showing the correct screen? Does it have the branding update slide?
It looks like a blank sheet of paper. There you go.
It's there now?
Yep, you got
Okay,
it.
good. All right, so I'm just going to share with you all for a few minutes some of the updates that have been designed based on all of our original input that we received from the community and the stakeholders, as well as a number of rounds of feedback with the committee. I was just complimenting Austin the other day on the committee that we've worked all across the country with hundreds of communities, and it has been a true pleasure working with the committee and with the community of Marvin. They've been very efficient and very effective with their time and management of all of this, and very good feedback. Very responsive to suggestions, and it's been really great. And so what I'm hoping to do tonight is walk through the updates here and show some of where we've landed on a lot of this, and hopefully we can get some approvals on the primary identity and the seal so that we can go back to the committee with some of the updates and continue to push this forward and wrap this up pretty quickly at this point. Austin and I were talking earlier about a mid-January delivery of the complete style guide package with all of the punch list completed, all of the collateral we haven't gotten to yet. And that's going to allow us to transition more into the wayfinding component of this plan and get into that piece. So just showing some of the building blocks here that we've established. We've refined the color palette to bring in, lighten the colors a little bit. We are having some issues with some of the darker colors, so we wanted to lighten those and still keep some of those formal colors, but also maintain some of those natural colors as well. And it's interesting with this palette to me that these colors can be used throughout the year for different seasons or in different applications to denote, a bit of a different mood. So it's a very flexible color palette, even though it's not really large. And then our typefaces have not really changed since early on, which makes me feel good because I really feel like we landed on something bold and broadly applicable that really helps kind of establish the identity of the village of Marvin. That we're really looking forward to seeing how it plays out through everything. And the inspiration for the icon and the design itself, Marvin is very unique in its history and its heritage that, you don't have a downtown, so that we don't have a lot of architecture that we can really look at. And, you don't have a lot of historic, buildings. There are a number of homesteads. We have some beautiful churches and all. But we tend to shy away from using churches or private buildings for identities. But the more we thought about it and all the nature that you have there in Marvin Eford Park and your Greenway and all, we really started to hone in on this idea of focusing in on this testament of a strong community and this organic growth, and look at how we can utilize the oak tree as a symbol for the village of Marvin and your ability to grow and remain strong. And so we landed on, the final version where we are now with the Village of Marvin logo. It's a bit more of a detailed rendering than we had started with. but it actually uses some of the branch structure I rendered from one of those trees that we took pictures of while we were there. And so we wanted to set that in just a nice, bold, stately sort of setting to show that growth, show that longevity here. And then we balanced that with the enriched by nature tagline. You know, a lot of the conversations that we had in the tagline, this has evolved a bit from where we started, but, we understand that Marvin is an affluent community. But it also is very rich in its nature and its natural assets. And a lot of people come to Marvin to use the park. And with the Greenway plans expanding, that adds to it, as well as the potential for there to be a farmer's market soon. A lot of these assets that people can use are really sort of focused on that nature, and a lot of the communities and neighborhoods that you have still retain a lot of their greenery around them and walking paths through them. And so we really like this idea of the community being enriched by nature, and as well as the village of Marvin being enriched by community. And that's one of the expansions that we'll be using with the tagline as well. And so showing how that can be rendered out in single colors, which is always important, even in doing a detailed logo such as this, want to make sure that we can refine it down to something that is still iconic and recognizable in single color. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that we could see that branch structure still going up through the tree, and it didn't just turn into a lollipop whenever it's in single color. Really wanted to be able to see through it and see that detail in here. And there is a bit of an Easter egg in here for those with good eyesight, or if you want to zoom in on the PDF that you were given, you'll actually notice in the crook of one of the tree branches, Marvin is sitting there, just surveying his fields. Or Marv, yeah, sorry, not Marvin, but Marv, the owl. And so then some different constructions of how this can be put together so that it's not always just in one configuration, but sometimes you might want something that's a little bit more squared off. We can use something a little bit wider, but also showing how it can be used with the North Carolina modifier. And, so all of these will be packaged up in the style guide I mentioned, in the various configurations and all of the single color variations as well, and output into 5 file formats, so that whether you're having a t-shirt screen printed, or you're having a car wrap, or a billboard, or a business card, or a website updated, any of that, you will have access to the different file formats that you or your vendors will need to use the correct file. So then the VM monogram. This was another thing that I'd started with early on in the process of wanting to have a bit of a formal monogram for the community, because you do have initials, and currently the initials being used frequently are VOM for Village of Marvin. And I tried many variations on trying to get the O to work in this, and the committee saw a lot of those iterations, and we had a lot of discussion, and finally we just refined it down to this VM monogram, and it looks really good in these this stately gold color, but also looks very good in all of the single colors as well. And this could be used as a supplement to the primary identity, and this might be used down the road a little bit more. There's been a lot of discussion of how we roll this out, but still felt like it was an important component to the overall system. And another important component that was discussed was the village has a very interesting annexation map. And one of the things that we wanted to try to accomplish was creating a bit of an identity, a little point of pride for those communities that are a part of the Village of Marvin community, from a honestly, from more of like a tax-paying perspective. There's a lot of people who participate in the community and live there adjacent to the village, partake in the parks and all. And we want the communities that are annexed into the community have a little bit of just a little nod to their connectivity to the village and the village hall and their ability to participate in, council and all of these other activities that, really allow what you all are doing to proceed is some of those communities, being on the tax roll and how do we sort of give them a little thank you back and showing just how that might be rendered here. You can see like the different plaques are placed differently on the two entry walls here, one on the column on the left, one on the right, just as an illustration of how it could look. These could be pole mounted. They could be put on the street pole, as you enter the community. These are, again, just subtle nods. We don't want to be overbearing with them. We just want to show that connectivity back. And as the conversation continues with communities and HOAs to try to get them to annex, to participate in the benefits of being a more, I'm trying to think of the word. It'll come to me, but somebody who's more connected to the functions of the village. We think that's a very important component. So another part of that is the potential of adding these decorative panels to the street signs that just put the icon in there. So as you drive through the different communities, they could have this subtle little reminder that they are in the village of Marvin. And looking at the infrastructure in a lot of these signs, I noticed that most of these are just square poles with those blades bolted on. So this would be an easy component to be fabricated and added onto those if that initiative were to move forward. And another idea is, currently there's a lot of development and a lot of talk in the planning of the Heritage District. And so, it doesn't really have an established identity just yet. So for the time being, just looking at creating sort of this plaque piece for the Heritage District. So this can stand as a placeholder for the time being until there's more legwork done on the Heritage District plan itself. So if there is some architecture or some other components, material usages that sort of come together through that planning process, we can revisit this and create something potentially more ornate, or we can leave it in this concept so that we can establish sort of the boundaries of this Heritage District and create that sense of arrival. And that's going to be another component of the wayfinding system as we look in planning that as to where the delineation is of this Heritage District and putting up potentially monument signs or some pole mounted gateways, different things of that nature, so that let people know that they are within that Heritage District as well. So some other expansion here is for Parks and Rec Department, and showing a unique treatment for the icon where we've taken the tree and we've separated and created this path, sort of this visual greenway, if you will, this family walking through nature and really participating and taking advantage of the greenways and the park space you have, and how that could look when put onto one of the vehicles on its livery. And you'll see a little subtle hint back there to an update to the seal on the bed of the truck there, but just wanted to show how this could look in the wild. And the mention of the greenways and sort of that visual cue that you get from the icon itself is an identity for the greenways themselves. As you move forward with development and a way of promoting these and looking at potential signage for these greenways, having a nice identity, shared with the Parks and Rec just really creates that consistency from the community to the organization to the actual location itself. And how that sign or how that logo and brand could look on a simple wayfinding sign that is on the greenway there, just through the woods from the village hall around the community there, and just give people some simple directions of how they can get around, and some distances on here. We're happily surprised. We went for a walk one afternoon while we were there after one of the meetings, and we walked that entire loop, and it is a good 20-minute walk. We kept checking our phone to make sure we weren't getting lost or we weren't going to end up somewhere we didn't mean to be. But putting the walk times on these pedestrian signs can be really helpful for people to let them know how far they're going to be walking instead of a distance, which can kind of make people uneasy if you say a half mile sometimes. And then another concept for Marvin Eford Park, again, keeping this construct of sort of this sunrise, silhouette over the horizon, of with the weather vane from the barns out there at the park, which is an incredible facility and just a beautiful park, from the community garden to the walking paths and the view over the pond. What a wonderful place to spend some time. And so we definitely wanted to give it a unique identity. And, I think this is interesting in the fact that it also pays some homage to the equestrian heritage that you have, where a lot of the developed land you have now was, equestrian fields and farms. And even on the direction here, I thought it was interesting of putting the WE on it. So it kind of spells we in the icon as well, to be sort of that little nod to inclusivity there. And how that would look on the sign that's out there with just a new panel added, with adding the certified wildlife habitat there and the Marvin Eford Park icon, updating the color. This would be a very simple update to your existing sign infrastructure there. And even if, for those eagle-eyed or owl-eyed, I should say, among us, you'll see on the trick or treat in the park, it's even been updated with a new take on what has been done by using the new logo with the moon rising up. And you see that here.
Hey, Sean, I know we're
Yes.
running short on time. We step up just a little bit.
Excuse me, you're breaking up on me. I can't make
Sorry,
out.
we're running a bit short on time. Can we step up just a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So here are a couple of the other options for some of the different extensions. And we show some banners, how these can be used on the roadways to create a little sense of arrival and add some color to the lampposts. Some nice polo shirts that would work well with embroidery. And then moving into the seal. And we went back and forth with a lot of different variations on this. And this is definitely an evolution of what the Village of Marvin's been using, with a rendering of the Village Hall instead of the other churches that were on the original. And, including the founding date there and putting North Carolina in. And, we've never seen, or if we have, it's been very few that have ever used their county in the seal as well. So we've removed that, but wanted to retain some of the important elements. And we added a weather vane up there because we believe that that's in the works to have one of those added to the top of the Village Hall as well. And then, right, as I mentioned, all of this is leading up to the wayfinding project. And so we've done some mapping already as far as the corridors that we're going to be looking at for signage, as well as some of the destinations that we're looking at and a couple of gateway locations. And this is a very preliminary map for right now. And we have not gone into the creative side of wayfinding sign design yet until we get the approval on the brand, so that we can move forward with confidence that everybody's on board and we can start moving into that phase early next month. And so then there's a punch list of some other components to the brand that we have not gotten to yet, but we'll be wrapping this up again, after approval, hopefully for a mid-January delivery. So that's all I have for you all this evening, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sean. It's Kim. I've got a question. So I know that we had talked about like the tree, the oak tree. Can we see it with a brown trunk? Because now all I see is a stalk of broccoli.
Yes, you absolutely can. Let me open. Actually, I need to stop this, I believe.
I mean, I love broccoli, but that's all I can see now.
But that's what it was.
I see now.
Now you see, it's like before when you could see all the, oh, see that, I like that.
Sean, it went away.
Oh, sorry.
Zoom in.
Oh, that looks so
Can you
nice.
zoom in on the?
Yeah, can you
brown
make
trunk?
it, can you make that one
I-
bigger?
I can't zoom in on it on here for it in Keynote. Hold on, let me try to stop out of there. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. That is so much better.
Where'd the owl go? Oh, there he is.
He's still there. He's brown.
Brown now.
I mean, I think brown is probably better than green.
Is the owl brown?
Yeah, the owl's brown. Okay. And then I've got a question. So on that one, we've got enriched by nature, but then towards the back, we've got enriched in nature on the banners. So are we going by or in?
No, I think that is my working through and just typos on my end of putting this together. So I think personally by
Okay.
works better for me, and I think that was the discussion we had in our last committee meeting was that was brought up as well. And so now whenever I updated these, I updated one word, but not the whole tagline.
Okay, no, that's fine. And then like on those banners, like, and then obviously like on the Greenways one, like I think we would probably like brown trunks too.
Mhm. Yeah, if we decide that's the way we're gonna go with the brown trunk, then yeah, everything will be updated
Okay.
with that. I will still prep everything in single color versions for implementation.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
but yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. Did somebody have a question? I heard my name.
You need to lean towards the mic.
Pick up.
I'm trying to speak up. I forgot to speak and put my microphone on.
Oh,
I'm wondering if another word instead of by nature, like maybe enriched with community or enriched with nature, does that make sense? Or are you pretty sold on yourself working through all this by nature? I'm just not feeling the love.
It is what the committee recommended by. Originally, we were looking at the word in. With doesn't really go with enriched, but
Enriched with community?
No.
By-
Not the right connector word.
It may not be, but I'm
You don't
just
get
hung up on, I know.
I like the way, the minute I saw it, I said, enriched by nature. That's cool. And then enriched by community. I thought it was fine with the by, my 2 cents.
Okay.
Bob, do you like the brown trunk?
Yes, I do. When you first were talking about broccoli, I hadn't even noticed that. And then I looked at it and said, oh, okay. And I like the tones where the center of that trunk of the tree kind of matches around it, you know, that whole symbol about it. So yeah, I like it.
I do like the brown tree.
Do you guys like the VM monogram? Is there anything that you guys don't like? Let's talk about that.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this, my personal opinion. I think this is hit out of the ballpark. I was looking at everything and I think it looks great. I think the whole thing looks great. And I love with the town hall. I think that looks fabulous.
All right, cool.
Have anything, I think that was a good catch on the tree trunk, but other than that, I don't see anything that I would necessarily changed at this point.
Do you guys like the seal?
It's different than the old one, that's all.
It is.
Are we definitely going with that weather vane with the M?
So we're still, so I'm trying to get this vendor to respond right now on a weather vane. This is to make do. Sean's already told us if we get something that looks different, they can swap it out for us.
Yeah. So whatever our weather vane ends up looking like, they can adjust accordingly.
Cause I like that VM, actually, that looks
Okay.
pretty cool. That'd be cool.
The monogram?
On the top VM.
Yeah.
The monogram.
Monogram one, yeah.
If somehow they could do that.
We can make it happen.
Yeah, it's just
That'd be a great way to employ one of the first pieces of our new branding system. So.
Yeah.
Put a cell tower up there.
No, do the VM.
Cell tower.
Do you guys like the Village of Marvin community sign so that people know if they're in Marvin or not?
that's a great way to get people to annex. They're on the right track for that.
And first, as coming from a staff perspective, that's going to be one of the first things I recommend you all implement. for that.
Yeah, but then the HOAs are gonna basically be able to say to us, no, we don't want that, right?
I mean, it's their neighborhood, so they could, but this
Because
is something.
they've already shot down our standardizing our,
No, they just don't want to pay for that. They would let us standardize them.
This
They
is
just don't
something
pay
that
for it.
we could say to every community that's in Marvin, this is something we're giving to you to show to everyone that you're part of Marvin.
Village pride.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks regal, and I love when now this is one tone to the tree. I think the tree looks fabulous the way it's outlined.
We worked hard on the tree, didn't we, Sean?
We certainly did. And I will say, as a graphic designer, there's three things I struggled the most with rendering. It's people, water, and trees. And you have two of those three in your system with the people walking, even though they're a small component. So that makes it easier. But yeah, that the trees are often a struggle because of just the point you've made of like you don't want it to look like broccoli, but you want some detail, but not too much, and finding that balance is very difficult. So I'm really glad to hear that you like this so much.
Yeah.
A lot of landscape companies out there have that tree logo that just looks like a
I
piece of
know.
rock.
I know. It looks good. I like it. It took it. Yeah. The first one looked like it had animals in it, so it's evolved for sure. Do you guys like the trick or treat in the park, the coffee with council,
I think the.
moonlight movies? Took me a minute with the dialogue, the little conversation bubble. Yeah,
That's very clever.
that took me a hot minute to figure out what that was.
That's good.
All right, what else do you guys not like or like? Do we have questions for Sean?
I didn't see any on this, but I get it.
You see the movie right now
I do.
with the moon? That's okay. I didn't get the conversation bubble, so I thought it was little coffee beans in there. It did. I was like, look at
Very
that.
clever. I think it's good.
All right.
Was there any discussion about having a Marvin Day logo
Yes,
incorporated?
it's on the punch list.
It's on our punch list, yeah. We have a very long punch list.
We just need to get this ironed out so that they can like start applying to each of our punch
One
lists.
thing,
This is a decision, we're gonna make a vote on what?
Yeah, I think
the
so.
color scheme runs consistent, so you want to make sure you're on the same page starting out. So as you evolve with the other items on the punch list, you make.
Just,
I can see where there's.
Yeah, that tree looks different, I think.
it does, but it's understandable. No, it looks very close to that. What? Looks close to that.
Yeah, but we're
Here one.
there.
I'm in South Carolina. I know, I've
Like,
seen
good
that
or
tree
bad?
before, and I was just there this week. I'm sure they paid a lot of money for that.
Probably.
The tree looks a lot like Kiowa. 'Cause I was just there. And I was seeing that everywhere.
I know somebody lives near there.
It was nice.
That's not a bad relationship to have.
No? Right. South Carolina.
So let me ask a question of you all. So with everything you've seen, we've changed the tree trunk to brown. Are you okay with this package that we presented with you all tonight?
I am. I'm
I mean,
fine.
I am, but I'm on the, or I'm the
Well,
liaison to the
I-
committee, so
Oh, so you're.
I am
Yes,
100%
I do.
good with it myself.
Because if you are, I would ask that you all make a motion to approve as amended with the change to the tree trunk. That way we can go ahead and keep moving along with the project. We can move into designing the wayfinding signs and the rest of the punch list. And we hope to have that style guide back to you by, the committee will see it at the end of January, and then you guys can approve in February.
Wayne?
Good with me.
Jamie? Kim? And of course, I don't vote, so we'll move. I guess, so we'll need a motion from,
All right, so I'll make a motion to approve the branding, to approve the branding system prepared by Arnett Muldrow and Associates as amended.
So moved.
further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
We heard you. All right, congrats, thanks.
Sean will be in
Sean's
touch.
still there. Thank you,
Yes, I'm
Sean.
still here. Thank you all so much. It's been great so far and really looking forward to continuing to finish this part of the process and move on to wayfinding soon. So thank you all so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. Moving up, reports and updates. Moving on to C1 Manager's Report. Christina?
I have a couple of things. I'm going to make this pretty quick because they're all just really good, quick updates. We did have a call from Representative Willis yesterday that requested potentially us putting up a Christmas tree at the corner here next year. So letting him know that I would just let you guys know we would consider it next year.
We tried, but it died.
I did tell him that we were looking at it and installing an evergreen.
Like a
if we
real
didn't have
tree?
to. Yes.
Okay, so may I make a suggestion? And I
Or,
just,
or a fake tree, just one that actually represents a Christmas tree.
right, I understand it, but what they did, I was just down in Seabrook and it was the first time they did it and they just took, and it was basically strings of lights that looked like a tree, but looked very nice in the park area. I didn't take a picture of it, but didn't think to take a picture of it. But that would be just basically a pole and stringing lights on it that make it look like a Christmas tree. And we're not having to deal with purchasing a tree or,
I like a tree. We tried with the tree, but that one particular one didn't do, I mean, adding landscaping is not a bad thing out there.
so you're
Kind
a
of sparse.
a real tree or a fake tree?
Just a real
Oh,
tree
real
that we
tree.
can
Yeah, we'll
decorate.
decorate it
and-
Oh, okay, so it
Christmas
just lives in
Yeah, it just
perpetuity.
lives there, and then we just decorate it at Christmas time, but it just stays there. Yes.
So we can add something to the budget for next year to talk about Christmas decor or just adding a tree.
We
So just letting
Well,
you know.
The worry, my
And it-
worry
it
is
just
that tree
didn't
gets
make it.
bigger and bigger every year, and then it's just like all of a sudden
It
we
will
get.
be amazing then.
Yeah, well, then,
It'll be like my house.
So the second thing I wanted to mention to you is that we have started getting, so we've started departmental meetings, and I've got a list of all the departmental things that people are working on. I want to put together in a little bit better of a package for you guys so that I can pass it out at meetings so that y'all are aware of what every department's working on internally. Still working on that, just wanted to let you know. Third thing is the auditors are wrapping up the audit. They will present at our January meeting. So just be prepared for that. It'll be at the work session. And then the last two things is we are getting to begin working on the retreat agenda. So if there's anything that you guys want to particularly discuss, just send me an email or text and let me know so that we can make sure it's added to the agenda.
Can we look at that rough draft at the January meeting?
Yes, yep. We've got it on the agenda.
Thanks.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention to you is Hunter and I have been working on something pretty big the last couple of days. It's the Publix trail that we installed a couple months ago. There's been some complaints about it not being ADA compliant, so we're looking into if it is ADA compliant. We're also looking at some accessibility issues that we feel like we need to address. We'll bring that back to you all at the January 10th meeting because we'll have more information at that point. But we do feel like there is some work that needs to be done at that park to get it into compliance. Just letting y'all know. Any questions on any of that?
No,
Okay.
you finished?
Mhm.
I have a question. Do we have any staffing updates on anything?
We do have a temporary position that we filled this week for our front desk. It is temporary part-time. It is just to kind of help us out into the interim right now until we actually hire for a finance officer. That position, the advertisement on that position closes next week. And so we'll be conducting interviews after that.
And that person's name is?
Mary
Thank you.
Canyago.
Very,
Canyago.
Pulling teeth.
So she's really good. She's really excited and eager to learn.
She's very nice. I met her today.
And that's all I have.
No, I didn't name it Mary. I just wanted Christina to say it. I knew what her name was.
all right. That's it, Christine? All right, thank you. Planners report. Hunter?
Yes, so just a few things. So in your packets, I had Austin include the ETJ letter that's been there. Basically, one, I wanted to, we're sending this to WUMA. Basically, if you guys had, unless you had any objections to it, I know that you probably haven't fully read it, but if there's no objections, we can definitely get that to WUMA tomorrow. The next thing with that is kind of understanding the intent of where do we go from here? Basically, do we want to send this to the county as well, or is this kind of then to further discussion with WUMA to kind of have this joint effort? Austin and I kind of discussed it today. I need to make sure that I'm providing you guys what you're requesting, get to make sure into WUMA as well as in like, where do we go from here with it? And yeah, and this, like, then kind of also identifying the scope of the ETJ. As in what areas? I kind of identify a few properties that I know has been discussed in the past that are kind of larger scale to development. But really this is kind of for update, but if we want to discuss further, we can put it on a future agenda or you guys can kind of reach out to me.
I think WUMA, basically, what Jeff is trying to do is to do it as a joint effort.
And that was my understanding too.
Yeah, so, and then from what I understand, the ETJ that we're looking at is 1 mile out from our borders into Union County. Obviously, it doesn't apply to our other borders, but
You can only extend to where your, the annexation areas grow.
well, you can extend out to 1 mile with an ETJ, but you have an agreement with other municipalities that also have the ETJ. And then there's specific rules that were written by the state.
Yeah.
That govern how that works.
And basically, I mean, what Austin and I discussed is like, if we want to pursue our whole annexation area, we would basically double size the planning board. So it's kind of looking at, in my opinion, I think focusing on certain areas around our municipal limits, like, and ETJ is a great way to also kind of force annexation to an extent because they're having zoning and stuff representation, but they don't necessarily have like the full say and everything else. So it's a great avenue to kind of bridge that into annexation. But from a staff level as well as from planning board, I think it's kind of good to think about, do we want to exclude maybe certain neighborhood stuff just because it's not necessarily going to impact us of what we're actually trying to achieve with the ETJ and regulating development to be more consistent with our zoning, as well as just having some of that control where it doesn't have this huge difference between what we have and what Union County is, approving. So we can I can put it on a future meeting if we want to discuss it, but we can definitely get this letter to WUMA to get that off the action item. But as we move forward in coordination with WUMA, we definitely want to identify what our specific request is going to be with the county and into what locations. Any questions on that or any comments?
No, so Are you asking for us to approve this as presented so that we would take it to WUMA at the next,
You don't, you don't necessarily need to approve it. I wanted you to see it.
okay?
If you had any, I mean, verbal, yeah, if you had any objections to it, I can get those changed, but the end goal is where we can make sure we get this to WUMA. But it's pretty much I outlined what was in Weddington's as what we discussed and then added in our specifics and a few other stuff.
Now, is this just added? Because I don't remember, okay, because I don't remember when I was reviewing for tonight. That's why, to read it right now and.
Yeah. And like I said, it's mainly for,
Yeah, but I think WUMA wanted us to have something, didn't they?
Yeah.
not?
They requested that, and that's when we were trying to get together
Right.
last meeting, but he
Did
was
we
on the.
cancel our December meeting though? Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah,
Because it would make sense that we would cancel our December meeting because it falls
yes,
right around
we don't,
Christmas.
yeah, we don't do December.
Okay.
so,
We do 11
yeah.
months of the year. We
So
don't-
if there's any objection or anything that want to be changed, we can definitely get it changed. If not, we can go ahead and just mail it to WUMA.
One change, the last paragraph, not if you have any questions, but the paragraph right before that,
Mhm.
there's a spelling.
I had one. Okay.
Do you see it, Austin?
Where?
I think we're just missing one P.
Applicates. It's a word. Go with it.
See, that's why I
That's it.
didn't catch it.
I mean,
Deprecate.
must
But-
be a word.
But no, we can get that updated and, like I said, we'll get that emailed out to WUMA for your guys' discussion. And then, as the council wants to, how we decide to move forward as well as with the specifics, we can, like I said, potentially put that on January. If not, just definitely reach out to me and we can discuss it further.
I mean, if everybody's good with it, I say send it to WUMA and then WUMA can talk about it. And then we'll see how everybody wants to kind of move forward with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because not every municipality is on board with ETJ right now.
Yeah.
And we're still kind of in the preliminary, trying to get all our ducks in a row.
Well, some
basically.
of the changes at the county too, that is going to be interesting to
Yeah.
see how they even receive this, quite
Right.
frankly.
it is.
So I think it's great.
I'm good with it.
So
If you want like a verbal thing.
Okay. I'll fix that one text change and we'll get it.
I don't have time to read it. I don't want to. I'll have you print a hard copy and then I'll look at it. I'm good, but if you guys are good, we're good, but.
Okay.
we won't read it, Joe. We just want to get it to WUMA so that we can
Yeah.
continue to move
Understand.
forward with the
Talk about it.
project.
That was kind of the biggest thing I was unclear on is if we wanted to actually send it to the county or not, because I knew it was always a
I
draft.
can just send it to WUMA for right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
WUMA
and-
discuss, and then we can, if we need to adjust the tone of it, we can. I mean, it's not going to anybody.
Right.
Right, it's just going to
for you
WUMA.
guys to
Yep.
discuss.
Right.
And that
so
was
we can always update it if we feel like we need to update it a little bit.
perfect.
Okay. Anything else?
Text amendment update. So on the consent agenda tonight, you guys will be calling for public hearings for the January meeting for the two text amendments, one being the applicant driven one for the Marvin's Women's Center, as well as the gates and private road discussion. The final draft for the Women's Center is in your packets if you want to review, as well as the gates and private roads. I'm finishing that draft and be presented to planning board. Reason I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of this is because if you want to meet or schedule meetings with me prior to the public hearing, let me know. Be happy to meet with you, go over both the text, make sure you understand kind of what's being proposed, as well as get any, feedback before the meeting to potentially just go ahead and get in front of. So any questions on that specifically?
Recommend that in pairs if we want to meet with you, just
Yeah.
to save you time.
It's up to you. I mean, especially around the holidays, I know it's gonna be kind of hard to schedule. But I just wanted to let you guys know. And then you kind of can maybe schedule at your own if you want to.
Okay.
It's kind of completely up to your guys' discretion on that. Marvin Loop update. So as kind of previously, we got approved with the contract with DOT. Well, then we had to go back and then authorize the funding. That then gets sent to the feds. It takes like 2 to 4 weeks. We can't post a RFQ until that. Basically, what was advised to me from DOT is that I just want you guys to understand, like, we're doing everything. We're ahead of the game. It is going to, with it being federal money administered through DOT to us, there are extra
kind of like steps we have to take. So there are going to be some time in between before we can kind of get approved to do certain things. Do you want to add anything?
I was just going to state, we mentioned this when the application came through because they had the grant agreement. And I said, this one's going to take, we're going to have to jump through every hoop. And it's actually even worse than I thought because of but it's federal transit money and it puts another layer. But when you're getting matching funds and that kind of money, they can make you, but there are a lot of steps, a lot of checks that have to go through and a lot of procurement issues. And it's going to take a while, but it's going to save you hundreds of thousands. So it'll be worth it, but you just got to be patient because the process is not easy. Not even easy for the bigger municipalities to go through.
Yeah, and I just wanted to provide you guys that because I know at our last meeting, it was intended to probably have the RFQ, kind of the results. But the intent now is that that's going to be uploaded. Our draft's going to be uploaded to DOT for their comments. So basically, we'll go ahead and have it ready. And once we get approved from the feds, then we can send it to DOT to post. So that hopefully should be posted between that, I would say like anytime between next week and the first of the year. And then my goal would be to have that selected by end of January, early February, and us keep continuing moving forward. Final thing, development update is that the other thing that's going to be on your agenda in January is the Brantley property subdivision, their sketch plan. It does not require a public hearing. I'm pretty sure all you guys are aware of it. And once again, if you want to schedule a meeting with me to go over that and the text amendments, be happy to meet with you. But that will be in front of you guys for the January regular meeting for consideration.
And that's on,
Yeah, it's the corner of Joe Carr and Marvin Road. It's 47 acres and they're proposing 23 lots. And they've been very accommodating on making a lot of changes per staff recommendation, PRG, planning board on their proposal. I think they've got a pretty good one compared to where we started with, especially with entrance amenities, getting some land donated for potential roundabout. So it does meet our standards, and I'll get into the detail of all that. But once again, I just want to make you guys aware. If you have any additional questions on that, be happy to meet with you to go over it. Other than that, that's all I got.
definitely would want to sit down with you and look at that one
Okay,
closer. Okay, anything else?
that's it.
Thank you. Any questions?
Nope.
All right, moving on. Next up, we have roads report. Anyone?
Anyone? Anybody? Bueller?
Bueller?
Yeah, I actually do. I have I'm sorry, I was trying to remember. I have,
Is that a thought?
I've reached out to Mike to get the information that you all had requested at the last meeting. They will present that at the January meeting. Still having some conversations about the agreement with DOT. Have actually had a conversation with Representative Willis. I'll share that more in detail once he gets back with me on some stuff that he's going to try to run up the flagpole to see if he's got some thought processes on that. So we had a really good conversation about it on Monday, so we'll see where that goes and I'll update you later.
When you said you had a conversation with Mike and he's going to get back to you and we're going to get an update in January, is that all of the missing information from the spreadsheet that you're referring to?
Yes, all the requested, you all had requested some information on the amounts that were not listed in the spreadsheet. And you had some specific things about preventative maintenance versus the specific questions about how long or how much per mile for Fogs Hill versus resurfacing, those questions. I can't remember what they were off the top of my head, but
Okay.
I did send him all those questions.
And he's going to get you the information.
He's going to, well, I did request Philip to be here to present it.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
That was by request.
yeah. That's all I have.
Deputies report.
Jeez. Yeah, nobody can hear you without.
To Lori Kiker, who does our reports. And she's going to get, she said that she's going to start sending me the reports. Back when I was here before, I'd like to break down some of the stuff that was going on so you know little more detail than what we've been getting. The other thing I had is, I don't know if you've looked at any of these photos that I printed off. I went out there after Christina sent us the email about parking situation over at Preserve. I measured it all out. I just draw your attention to the last page. I've got all the things on here, all the measurements. And the road bottlenecks at the end, and one side that exits there is a lot narrower than the other side. And I didn't see an issue at first, and then I went through there the other day, and right here at the top of the island, these two cars, I could barely squeeze between there with my patrol car. So my recommendation, I don't know what you plan on doing or if you're going to do anything at all, was the narrow side of the road, make it so they can't park on that side, make them park on the wider side of the road. That's my 2 cents worth with it, but the school bus stops and then they let them out at the end of the subdivision and they walk into the subdivision. And a lot of the cars that are parked on the exit going out of the subdivision actually live in the subdivision. And I understand why parents do it. It's not a safe world for our kids today, so I wouldn't want my kid walking home alone. No, that's just me. But,
Especially the elementary school kids, but
So Ed, you're saying park on this side,
26.
but don't you think that it's then gonna get like backed up down here? Like further down and you're never gonna be able to get out then? Cause I mean, right there, the only reason these 3 cars are parked on this side is because there's not enough room on this side.
right, but they could, I don't know, they have to park maybe down around the corner or something, but,
I mean,
I'm telling you that this last picture here it was difficult for me to get through there. I know I'm getting old, but.
So the bottom line is it's
Turn
a
on my
safety issue.
It's a safety issue when it's this congested, because when I came down here, because one of the pictures I showed, I think it's the third one there. It actually bottlenecks down where it was really wide on this one of these pages where you see my shadow. It actually bottlenecks with the sun. Drops down to 20.
yeah, it's really narrow right there.
They park all the way up to on that side to the end of this island. There was barely enough room.
This should probably be during the discussion on the ordinance, because this is like reports. And I know you're giving an overview, but if we get too much further, we probably need to do that when we get to the
Okay.
discussion item.
Ed, will you stay for that? Okay. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Ed about the report?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ed.
Next up, planning board report. Bob, you have anything?
Well, I guess we had the joint planning board, meeting last month, right? And we had discussed, as I got my notes here. Hang on here. But weren't we discussing the gates, and then we were also discussing, I think, the whole Joe Carr, Marvin Road area. Is there any more that I'm missing from that?
No,
And we had the presentation. We had the presentation that was done.
Yeah, for the previous planning board meeting was
Yeah.
basically 30 minutes of just quickly giving an update of the items I've already mentioned to you guys, the text amendments and the subdivision sketch plan. And then we went into our joint training, but there was no action taken on any of those items. And the plan is for them to review and take action at their meeting on Thursday. And then once again, we'll be in front of you guys in January.
Yeah, thank you, Hunter.
All right. Nothing else? Moving on, PRNG board report. Tim?
Okay, thank you. So we went over, or we just kind of got a master plan update for the parks system. We just kind of updated Park Circuit and Greenway, just kind of like where we were with it and just kind of got a little bit of their input. So we're still working on that. Really no information to give you there. Parks Rec and Greenway discussed and recommended, going to recommend to you guys tonight. It's on our agenda, the Village Hall landscaping plan. Got a friendship tree update. We started with 20 kids. We were able to, donate for 60 kids for the Christmas holiday, which was amazing. And then, they recommended, the major subdivision sketch plan for the Brantley property with some tree mitigation area identified. And then we also, decided to add airsoft or related activities to the list of prohibited activities at Marvin Eford Park, pending the attorney review. We had some people asking if the airsoft was going to be allowed in the park, and
What's
it's,
like a BB gun.
yeah,
It's
but-
hard pellets.
but the way these people are dressed, that's what the guns look like. And that's what people dress as. And I feel that is just an accident waiting to happen.
Well, it's not even that, but you got people who just want to
Yeah.
go out there and walk.
Yeah.
That's gonna scare the hell out of them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mean somebody's going to see that and have like a,
We're gonna get 911 call.
yeah, yeah. So- Yes. So we decided that we would add that to the banned list.
And I don't know if any 55-year-old that's out there doing that. It's gonna be your
Yeah.
16 to 23.
Yeah. So,
You want to do that? Never heard of it.
Jason just did it for a birthday party. They have places to go. So, yep. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on to consent agenda. I'll need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Or was it amended?
Yeah, it was.
Sorry.
So moved.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Nothing on public hearing. So moving on to Village Hall. Do we have anything? Okay. G is unfinished business. First up is discussion consideration of Marvin Day 2023 firework launch site.
So inside of your agenda packets, there's two options for the launch sites. We are going to proceed with the second option in your agenda packet as long as there's no objections. That would be what's the red circle, not the red circle inside or the yellow circle inside the red, but the red circle alone. That would be the launch site that is closer to the pond area. This allows us the most freedom to have flexibility within the park for the fallout zone being reduced to other areas, not including the park.
Wait, yellow or red? I thought we were
Red.
doing yellow.
No, we're doing the red.
So
This one.
they've been out there and looked at this and they're saying this is
Oh,
a safe area to launch fireworks from?
I'm sorry?
They're saying this is a safe area to launch fireworks from?
That's what the pyrotechnician has identified as the two options.
So Christine, I just want to add, I actually just got an email today that the fire marshal wants to come to Marvin Eford Park. I don't know if you were copied on this, Christina. But he wants to come and look at the park and really check it out before signing off on it. But his schedule is crazy and he cannot do it until after the new year. So we're trying to get on his calendar for very early January.
So
Just to throw
pending
that out
his
there.
approval, we're going to proceed on option red circle unless there's further objections.
That's what works.
And if we have anywhere near what we had at the high school, we need some serious shuttle services.
We'll have a Marvin Day update in general
I know.
at a
I'm just-
later meeting, but does anyone have any objections to the firework launch sites that we've presented, the red option closest to the pond area?
I don't.
As long as our attorney doesn't.
Very back of the parking lot, right, is where that X is.
Okay, that's all I have, sir.
All right. Any questions? Any more questions? Thank you. Next up, discuss and consider approval of Village Hall landscaping plan and direct staff to proceed to acquire quotes for the project.
Who has that?
I put it on here as Derek, but this proposal was submitted by Jen Castellucci, who's on the PRG board. She collaborated with a couple other PRG board members, and they approved this at their last meeting. You've seen the basis of it before. They amended the plant list slightly, a few less lower petalums, and they replaced it with some sort of hollies. I'm not sure, but it's something small and manageable, something that's easy to landscape and keep manicured.
Well,
That's the most I've ever talked about plants, by the way.
what I can tell you is lower petalums grow voraciously, so they will have to be trimmed 3-4 times a year to keep them neat. Other than that,
You have a trimmer.
I know
Yeah,
that Jen's main goal in the plant list was to make sure we have color all 4 seasons.
yeah, she's done a great job. I'm just throwing that comment there that they do take a little bit of extra trimming just because they grow so fast, but they're a beautiful plant. It's just a comment.
And does that, let's look at this close, but does it include a natural covering for the generator?
So you do get some of that. It will be harder to do in the winter, but
Can't do
you do
evergreen?
get a lot of that here.
HJ is, HJ,
So let's
a juniper is something, that's what it looks like. It's like, it's an evergreen.
Stupid. Okay.
Screen for the generator, it's an evergreen. Unique curving shape
And that's around the
generator.
January. I didn't see that.
Basically, compared to what we have now, this will be a very bright change.
I mean,
Okay, yeah.
listen, she worked really hard on this and I think it looks amazing. And I mean,
There we go.
I would be thrilled with the outside of the building looking like this year round.
I have no concerns with it. I just made that comment
Yeah,
about
no,
just, you know, the maintenance. That's all, but I have no concerns with what she's drawing up here. I think it's gonna look really, really nice, and it is gonna give us the color and the coverage year round that we're looking for. Much better than that plan that was instituted before.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve this plan and direct staff to proceed with acquiring quotes.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Just a quick question, is there anything for, I guess they didn't do anything with sprucing up across the parking lot at this point?
So no, but Jen said she's got some ideas, so if we want her to work on that,
Absolutely.
she's happy to.
Because otherwise our planner's gonna be coming down on us for
Our screening,
our screening
all right,
deficiencies.
we're gonna get a violation.
Yes.
Okay, so Austin, can we add that to the Park Rec and Greenway?
So what was it?
January, this screening,
Screening for.
the parking lot, like where all of our dead stuff needs to get ripped out. Yeah, she definitely said she has some ideas, so.
Okay.
And I'll let Derek know to start looking for quotes.
Yeah, will you, yeah, that would be great. And then do you mind shooting Jen a note and just be like, hey, we're gonna talk about it? Can you maybe put cause she said she's been thinking about it.
Okay.
Shoot email.
Yeah,
I definitely would love to hear what she's got.
she's
in mind
good.
for that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I'll take care of it.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Next up, we have audio visual equipment installation update.
Okay, who wants some good news?
Me,
We all have good news.
So in addition to having working mics again, the installation will continue in January. I don't have a formal date booked yet, but we're thinking the first or second week, they'll be back in here. Now that we have a wired screen, we should theoretically have these screens in front of you working, these cameras working, that screen working. So we should be at 95% capability. There's still 2 components that are still back ordered, but will be functional. And those last 2 components will just make everything a little more convenient.
What comes up on here?
So this TV is going away. So whatever we currently show on this TV will be in front of you on these screens. And whatever we normally show on this TV will be on that screen for the public.
Okay.
And we'll be switching the camera views between you all and whoever is currently speaking up there. So we're getting high tech.
We're gonna have choreography before it's over with.
Don't give me any ideas, man.
All right, moving on. Thank you, Austin. New business. First up, we have discuss and consider adoption of ordinance to prevent parking along Yellow Jasmine Lane. Christina, you taking this?
I am. I just wanted to let you know that the ordinance is presented in your agenda packet. You've heard the commentary based off of the public comment that took place at the beginning of the meeting. You've heard the concerns from both ends. So it's really up to you all for discussion and consideration of said ordinance. The ordinance would go into effect immediately, but we wouldn't implement any penalties until those signs were put up. So it would take probably a good month or two before we actually got signs installed.
Is there anything else you wanted to add, Ed, about the situation over there?
I would say, when I first went out there over the weekend to do these measurements, if you're standing out on that road, it seems really open. But when I went out there today, when I drove by, I went a couple times, and it wasn't an issue until I drove by today. And I can see where some people are concerned about it. But I would maybe suggest before you take that step of deciding what you're going to do is actually go out there on site. You can look at these pictures and see the measurements, but it's different than standing out there. You follow what I'm saying?
I mean, I've been out there like during drop off and it is crazy. It's even crazy in the afternoon with the middle school, like in the later afternoon. It's still bad. I mean, I get it. These kids are young and they're little, but I mean, I'm frustrated with the school that they're not taking the bus in there. Like,
Have they given a reason?
Find one stop in the middle of the subdivision.
I know, I just
And
don't.
then you can do park like you want, but you're creating a hazard on a major road. Take it, I agree with Kim. You take it back to the school, go, take it into the neighborhood, find one drop-off spot, let them go. And then let them park and pick up, and maybe when you get inside the neighborhood, half of them go away because they're close enough to their house that they can walk.
I don't know why they can't go into the neighborhood. Is the issue with not having enough space?
Believe it or not, it is a timing thing. They time these buses where they literally drive them and they do practice runs to see how long it's gonna take. And they have very few people to man the buses.
So,
They
so
come
that,
to my
Get all that,
neighborhood
but
and
finding a central spot to drop all the kids in the
This is
neighborhood
very-
is
this
a
is
better
very-
fit.
that's not a central spot
Right.
at the
It's
entrance.
a better
But
fit.
that's not a very big spot, so
Right.
I don't think it's any bigger
No,
than
it's
Innisfil.
not.
the comment that Mayor Polino made is in fact what I was told from the county. It is a timing issue because they basically have stacked buses. So they have a group of kids waiting for the next bus
Yeah.
to come and.
I mean, I get it,
I
but I mean.
understand all that, and individual stops takes a long time, but getting off the main road and making one stop in the subdivision where it's safe for everybody is, I mean,
Kids,
it's their
parents.
responsibility to make this a safe stop.
And all those issues and stuff, it makes sense to put it, it's gotta be put onto the school and say, look, you have to have a route that takes them into the community, and they just loop around, pick a spot.
There's no way it can take 5 extra minutes to do that.
Right.
That neighborhood's just a loop too, so.
I know.
Well, and the thing about it
And
is
the other
school systems,
subdivisions that I see, that, and these are elementary schools, I guess, and the middle schools in there, is they take off the main road with any young kids, and they go to inside of the subdivision and find a place to do them. They do not do it next to a main entrance or everything else. It's more removed from it.
And maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle where they agree to do the elementary school inside, but as an older group, maybe the high school they can do.
But I mean, the middle school.
Because the high school, they're
gets-
probably walking home themselves anyways at that age.
Yeah, but the middle school gets jacked up there too.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, 2 out of the 3, that's sort of a happy medium.
No. I don't know. I mean, I hate this for the residents because I know that again, it's dangerous for the kids, it's dangerous for the parents, it's dangerous just for people in and out. But I mean, Union County, I mean, this is, they should be doing this. This is not, I don't know. I'd like to have Union County come in here and have a conversation.
I don't think, yeah, I agree. I don't think we do anything with this. I think we just, we put our thumb down in Union County and say, listen, we're talking about one neighborhood, and they're gonna come back and say, everybody says that. This is completely insane. Because some kids gonna, their paper's gonna fly across the road and they're gonna dart out and somebody's gonna get hit.
Yes.
Take it off the road, take it in the back of the neighborhood. It's one loop. There's
Yeah, we're not asking for.
I mean, they go
Just-
into Firethorn for God's sakes.
Just loop
I mean,
around.
they come into my neighborhood and it's small. Like, I don't understand why. Yes.
Which is,
Yes.
if I had to guess, it's the same distance in the loop. They come into Firethorn, they drop.
It's smaller and
They
it's.
drop them off at the swimming pool and let them go. Go.
I don't understand why Union County Public Schools, I mean, I'm not happy with them anyway right now, but I don't understand why that they are putting this on us right now. I mean, this is their problem. I mean,
How quickly can we get in touch with Union County and put our thumb on them?
I can call him, but I don't think I don't think he's going to say anything different than he did in the letter. He did submit a letter to you all explaining.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah,
What he
no.
put in there was basically defending the fact that he needs to have one stop. We're not disputing that.
Right.
Just make that one stop
the
inside the
side.
neighborhood and not at the entrance where it's safe for
or
everybody.
invite him to come into a meeting and have a conversation with us.
So why don't I just make the request to move the stop inside the location
Somewhere inside
and then
and safe.
see where we go
Yeah.
from there? If that's okay with you guys, you all.
Yeah.
Do you
I mean-
think the residents would be okay with that?
What, you gotta.
I know
I
that's
think that,
one.
I think that
But
it's
you're one-
going to,
You'd be
personally, I think
happier
it's
than
gonna,
the alternatives, would you not?
I mean, I do too. I mean, I think it's, but, so like in my neighborhood, they don't actually go all the way around the loop. What they do is they pull in Wingfoot, they stop at Cappington, they back up, then they let all the kids out, and then they go on their way, and then they come back out. They could literally do that same thing on, it's Flower and Peach, right? Like, right, they could pull in, turn, everybody could be down that way or down that way, and then they back up and then they leave. It will take 5 minutes to do that.
Same thing in Tullamore, they go
Yeah.
inside for the young kids and they pull in, back up and let them out and let them go.
I mean, it is insane.
Is this far enough
Get 'em
from the
off the
school?
lane.
Because there may be some regulations with busing where you have to be X distance.
They stop in Marvin Creek
Okay.
and it is closer than Preserve.
Then, okay, then that's good, because sometimes I know they like to tie things, that we won't make stops within.
Well, some part of Marvin Creek backs up to the school.
That's what I'm saying, but they go through that side.
so if there's a consensus to create the stop inside of the preserve, then I'll just put that back on Union County.
Yeah.
If they will comply with it, then you'll see no further action unless
And,
y'all want to.
and I mean, again, I mean, I'm happy to listen to any residents that have complaints and we are happy to like try to give as much pressure, but I would say start sending letters to the transportation.
Okay.
Or have one of them come down and look at it personally, because that's usually when you get. that's them.
Okay,
One-
is that the consensus to create the stop inside of the neighborhood itself?
Jury.
And y'all don't want to see this any further unless there's further action requested from residents?
No, and again, I would go
Well,
as
I mean,
far.
I'd like to know what they, I mean, I'd like to know like
Know the answer.
what they say.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
'Cause
and another alternative is like Wayne said, drop the elementary kids off. Go in, drop the elementary kids off and do that. And maybe you don't have to do the middle and high school, but
So they drop them off.
I'm confused.
On Marvin School Road.
All right, let me ask you this, maybe to you. Could we create an ordinance that you can't stop a bus on Marvin School Road? That'll fix that.
You can.
It's
No,
not our,
because
it's not our road.
DOT.
But you can't, we don't allow that in the village of Marvin where You know, on a state-owned road, you can't stop a bus and,
Man, I don't hate
I
it.
think we may have some preemption issues there with the transparency.
asking.
Yeah, no, but I get where you're going. The thing is put pressure on them and y'all can either pass the ordinance now or postpone it, or you could have a later effective date.
I want to know what Union County says before I do
I'll get that
anything.
answer.
I'd more importantly, I'd like to see someone from Union County. Has anyone from Union County from transportation been
Come
there?
out there at 1:55 to 2.
Because I remember
No,
when we were
2:10.
talking about the roundabout years ago, I had the Union County Sheriff's officers and all sitting out on that corner watching what happened when there were no officers. And sometimes seeing it,
Mhm.
you know, it's kind of like
Oh.
the border. Maybe someone needs to go down there and look at it.
Oh my God.
I'll make contact.
Okay,
Continue to.
we're not taking any,
No, but I want to know what they say.
No, I
We're
don't think
we're
it's taking
postponing it for right now.
all right.
We got a week. We've got 3 days left.
Well,
of
hopefully
school.
they can have something resolved before when the.
That's
new
what I'm
year
saying.
comes.
We've got 3 days left of school. I mean, they're making decisions left and right as a school board, so they ought to be able to make some decision on this.
Okay. So we're moving on?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Christina,
Next-
let us know what they say. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. Next up, discuss and consider approval of fiscal year 2023, 2034 budget timeline.
So moved.
What do you want to talk about?
Nope.
Pretty straightforward.
It's literally what we've done in the past. I mean, minus the 1 year. Too soon? Too soon?
Not too soon. Yeah. All right.
Chaplain didn't even get to enjoy
So
that.
motion on the table. Any further discussion?
What do we talking about the Coconut Grove?
No, we're talking about the budget timeline.
I thought we already voted.
All's in favor?
Yeah, hold on, wait, 3/1/22, 3/15/22, those should be 23s. Jamie did it. It was all Jamie. I give due where dues due.
You do?
Do do. Said do do.
This is 23 to 34 on here on the header.
Yeah. Okay, so with those changes, so moved.
Yeah, that did say 34. That's what scared me.
Oh my God, 23 to 2034? Look at the top.
Look at the very top. When I was reading it, that's why I'm like, wow, we're not going to discuss this?
Why does it say that up
It's an
there? That's
11-year
weird. No, up top,
Supposed to be 23.
it says 2023 to
For the
2034.
record, the headline is discuss and consider approval of fiscal year 2023 to 2024 budget timeline, not 2034.
So moved as amended. Dear-
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
We allow one mistake.
Just one per
Just
meeting.
one per meeting. Discuss and consider entering agreement not to exceed $6,000 with East Coast Entertainment and selection of Coconut Grove and Early Rate Groove. I had the Groove
Early rate band.
and Early Rate Bands as artists for Marvin Day 2023.
So these are the recommendations that were made from the subcommittee, the Marvin Day Subcommittee and the working group for the concert level. Early Ray and the one you just said, I don't want to mispronounce it. Those two bands are to not exceed $6,000. They would go on at, looks like 5:30 to 9:30.
Is that each or?
No, the first band would go on from 5:30 to 7:15, and then the second band would be from 7:15 to, I'm sorry, 7:45 to
No.
9:30.
I mean, the money. Is that each or combined?
That's total. Yeah.
Total, okay.
That does not include the stage. You'll have a subsequent conversation about that here in just a little bit.
Did anyone go on and listen to them?
Yes, I've actually seen both.
I think they should flip, because I like the Groove, Coconut, what are they?
Coconut Groove.
I've never seen them live, but they sounded better, I think, than Early Grey, but.
Early Ray.
Ray is better,
Jeez,
right?
Lord.
Yeah, I think so.
I haven't seen either. I've never seen either.
I think that they'll
But
work good in tandem, because.
yeah, and the thing that I liked is a lot of the songs were familiar songs that people could sing along, whereas the last, as good as they were, a lot of their songs no one knew. And, I think it's sometimes having that familiarity with the song is a good thing, so.
Coconut Group has played in this area before, so I don't know.
They looked like they were at the beach on their promo.
Yeah, and the only thing, that's the thing, and maybe in future years, we can get, I can get ahead of it where we can get, because you'd like to get some of these new groups that are coming up that are going to make a name for themselves, and you want them to be here. I'm not opposed to the Coconut Group band, but they've been heard before. Yeah, it's nothing new, but again, they're good. Early Ray has not been, they're not covered in this area much, so that's why I think that they were a good second option. Unfortunately, I had a good friend of mine that just needed a timing issue, because I think he would have just been, he's gonna be a name, and okay, no said.
All right. Anything else to discuss? We need a motion on this.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to enter into an agreement not to exceed $6,000 with East Coast Entertainment and selection of Coconut Groove and Early Ray as artists for Marvin Day 23 and allow manager to execute agreement not to exceed, $6,000. I just said that. Okay.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next up, we have discussion of Union County rezoning proposal from Seminelli Properties LLC for parcel 06207-003B, as in boy.
All right, that's me. So I dragged Joe into this. There was a public input meeting that happened to be held here at Village Hall, and I got a letter about it because I own a piece of investment property that backs up to this. And I was very unsure of what was going on. I think because it is so close to Marvin, that we should do a resolution in opposition to this, because it is shoving 4 houses on 2 acres with 0 common open space. And it just does not
How
fit.
does it even,
Huh?
how does it even work?
I don't really know. I mean, Hunter and I looked at it, and I think they're gonna have 2 driveways. Actually, I don't know if it's 3 driveways off of Crane Road.
I did talk to Bjorn about this.
What'd he
They
say?
are only gonna have that one that you and I discussed, like basically,
So it's all
it's
one.
putting in a private drive that will access all 4 off of Crane Road.
I mean, there's only like 25-foot buffers. I mean, it does not fit Marvin. Now, yes, it is an unincorporated Union County, but it is very close to Marvin. And for me, this just feels yuck.
So the reason they had it here.
They just used
had
the
not-
space.
They just used the
Yeah.
space.
It had
Okay,
nothing to do with Marvin.
with Marvin, okay.
There's a disclaimer at the bottom of the letter
Yeah.
that states that. I'm with Kim, I don't,
Okay, well,
I don't like it at
Yeah.
all. And I think that it is something, it's in an area that we would like to annex
Mhm.
anyway, and that's something that would not fit Marvin. And it's just adding, I think, to anything to Crane Road is enough, let alone 4 homes and it is a deep property, so you've got
It
a very
is.
narrow property, so all 4 homes have to come out right there, and it just adds more congestion to an
Well-
already overloaded road.
yes. And was going to the school today, and I drove by it, and I was like, I don't know how they're gonna put 4 houses on there with barely any buffer, like barely any buffer. So
And I wouldn't want to live next to it either. If I was a property owner next to it, it would bother me that it's crammed in there like that.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't, yeah. So I'm not going to vote because I have a vested interest.
Potential financial interest.
Potential financial interest.
Board, or still make a recommendation, so would recommend.
So I'm not going to vote. I'm going to recuse myself. if That's
The-
okay.
Other thing I will mention is, are you making a motion for the resolution?
I'm not making a motion for anything.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Somebody else has to.
He needs a motion, someone needs to make a motion to recuse her, so she can be excused.
Can I make a motion to recuse myself?
Chaplain, what do you say?
You can request, somebody can say, well, you can request and somebody can say so moved. You
Okay,
already
so,
requested.
so I've already requested it. I would,
So, there you go.
All's in favor?
Aye.
I, do I vote for
Motion
myself?
passes. So Kim will be recused, but is someone going to make a,
the last thing I was gonna mention though, is that this is not going in front of the Union County Planning Board this month. It's going at their January meeting, which will be held, I guess the same night as our meeting.
Do we have time to get it to them?
I talked to Bjorn, either we can do a resolution tonight and or I can definitely let him know the comments, that basically that you guys are either unanimous, whatever, opposed, and that we would be adopting a resolution at the January meeting, however you guys want to do it.
So we're not going to have time to prepare a resolution tonight. So it would be done on the same night as their meeting. So I think that you just need to do an intent.
Correct. Yeah. So I mean, if that's the goal, if we can adopt the resolution at the January meeting, but if the intent is obviously that the board is opposing it, I can go ahead and let Bjorn know so that can be disclosed into the planning board packets. The resolution will then be, and then including into their packets, especially for the commissioners.
I do think I'm worried about the timing though. If the intent is to get it into an agenda packet or get it forwarded to Union County before the meeting, if y'all do the resolution that night, it's not going to get there. So I think you could do a motion either in favor or in opposition to the proposed zoning and instruct planning staff to coordinate with the attorney for a simple resolution and authorize the mayor to sign. Somebody can incorporate that motion if they would like or restate it. It's
so you're saying basically take, we're getting ahead of it in the sense that the board is, if there's a consensus with the board to oppose this particular development, then the intent would be to let the county know that a resolution is in or will either be
No, I
written
would,
up.
if I was in opposition, I would do a motion of a resolution to oppose and to allow the planner to coordinate with the village attorney to draft a simple resolution for the mayor to sign. In that way, you'll have the resolution, it'll be passed tonight, and they'll be authorizing you, mayor, to sign, and it can get to the agenda packet and get to the county before the meeting. Otherwise, they would have our intent, or we think we're going to pass a resolution, but it's the same night. So it might not get there. So if you want them to have the written resolution before the meeting, I think you need to make a motion to either a resolution in opposition or in favor, and authorize staff to prepare a simple resolution.
The only note I'd make, there were 4 or 5 land homeowners that I guess did this about it. They didn't really, I don't know if they either understood it or whatever, but no one really said anything. They just had a few questions. It was a very short meeting, which not many, and again, I wasn't expecting to be there because I didn't know there wasn't, and it turns out it wasn't. They were just using this space, but so you need someone to say what you basically said, or
Can I so move what you said? Is that
Are you going to so move it to oppose?
to oppose?
Yes, so it'll be a motion to approve a resolution to oppose the proposed rezoning. And authorize the mayor to execute the resolution prepared by village staff. That way y'all know that y'all are authorizing him to sign.
Okay.
But it'll be short and to the point.
You don't have to go into too much detail, but other than.
But that way,
sometimes they
we don't
want
have the
that in-
physical
Sometimes they
paper,
want
so
that
they're-
in resolutions though.
So it'll be voting on the resolution and authorizing you to sign.
So move.
Now, let me ask you this, because sometimes in a resolution, they want the specifics about why we're doing it. Does it make sense to talk about what Kim mentioned? That, you know, how are they gonna get roads in there, concerned about roads, or we're just gonna keep it simple?
I'll mention that we've done a few of these in the past. And they are pretty straightforward. Basically, in the whereas, you list a parcel, list that, you know, it is a higher density development per se, and that the village opposes higher density development. So that was kind of what I was gonna do, is just use those same kind of whereases and just cater. Yep.
Yeah,
And
buffers, I think, would be the concern.
But buffers and density,
And
both of those
density,
were spoken during
Which
your
doesn't,
discussion.
and it's, we talk about the ETJ, we're trying to get that as a, potential Marvin, so it wouldn't fit in our own ordinances if it does become Marvin.
Transition zones for the Union County comp plan.
Oh, yeah, transition zones, which they have yet to even talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all in agreement with that?
Yes.
It's all with me.
And
So,
So why did so move it?
yes, so move.
okay, further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. So you can't sign it if I'm not around either.
And I didn't, and just for the record, I didn't even know why I got the letter, but it was at Village Hall. So I was like, well, let me go see. Oh, yeah. But I didn't know that at the time. But then I was like, oh, that's why.
Okay. And I just happened to
And
be.
Joe was here, so I
I
made
just
him
happened
come
to be
with me.
here, so she dragged me into it. All right, next up, discussion of 2023 coffee with council
Oh,
events.
here we go. Oh, Steve.
First of all, we gotta get a new sign that's been damaged.
I mean, it got destroyed by that poor man. I mean, he beat it up. That's true.
Okay.
There's another way to say you're against coffee.
One
with
second.
Hang on, Bob. Hang on. Hang on, buddy. Bob's chomping at the bit. Let's let him pick his first.
Old man goes first.
He's so excited.
There you
All
go.
right, Bob, go.
January 5th and March 2nd. I'm excited.
That's it? Out of all those for the whole year?
No, we're just doing it for the first 3 months.
Just the first quarter.
Oh, okay. I was like, dang, Bob.
So you guys normally only sign up for 3 months at a time. I just have these color coded so you can kind of tell they're broken up. And I wanted to go ahead and get all the dates down on paper for the year.
Yeah, so the 24th.
Nope, start with the 5th.
Yeah,
Can anybody do the 5th?
Bob, yes.
Well, but we need another
Well, but
person.
we need
I know.
another one.
You know what? I think I'll be back because the kids are back in school, right?
Yeah, kids are back in school. I mean, I don't
So
know.
for January 5th, who's with Bob?
I'll do that.
Joe, okay. For January 24th, that's the evening. Jamie, who else?
I'll do it with Jamie.
Jamie and Wayne. Okay,
Wait, the 5th is in the morning?
yes, this is in the
Thursdays
morning.
are mornings, Tuesdays are evenings.
Thursday, February 2nd, that's in the morning.
Ooh, Mimi, it's Groundhog Day. It'll be fun.
Kim, I'm sure there'll be some fun jokes.
I'll do it with Kim.
Kim and Andy, okay. February 21st, it's in the evening, Jamie again.
Right after my birthday.
I'm gonna get you the same thing I got you last year.
I'll do it with Jamie again.
Jamie and Wayne again.
Well, I could do that one. 21st, I think.
Wait, the 21st?
Okay, is
You
it
can
gonna
do that one
be, is it
too.
gonna be Wayne or Joe?
Joe, let Joe have it.
Let me have that.
Give it a Joe. Okay, so who's doing March 2nd with Bob? That's in the morning. Give it to Wayne.
Get quiet all of a sudden.
All right, and Tuesday, March 28th in the evening.
Go, I'll do it.
Kim. Now, let's see.
I
Andy
guess
signed up.
I'm gonna have
Wait a
to
minute.
do another one with Kim because that's I've only
Wait a
got
minute.
one on there, so.
I have village council meeting.
That's in the
Join-
morning.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
I'll hang with you, Kim.
Okay, come on, Andy.
Kim and Andy. Okay, so I've got those dates. So I will send you all calendar invites. So we'll make that happen. Right.
All right,
I am good.
moving on. Discussion of year in review newsletter.
Yeah. Okay, so I've put a brief memo in your agenda packets. We've been doing these since I've been on staff, and I think they've been pretty successful. I have already drafted pretty much every topic on this list. I have something drafted for. I've sent it off to my consultant to pretty up. Basically, I'm asking you all, are you okay with what we have here? Is there anything else you want me to talk about, to cover? I've got some photos from our events we're going to include. I'm excited about it.
The only thing that I saw here that when it says grants received by the village, I have to be more specific on some of these things to highlight because people say, okay.
But then.
So
Put, a bush on their thing.
So this is
We staff and everyone has done a great job to garner a lot of money to the village of Marvin.
so this is base details. What I've already written up specifically says we got these grants there for this. This is what the funds are going to be used for, and we're grateful to David Willis and Todd Johnson for working with us on acquiring these funds.
Like those.
But this is just a list of just ideas that I wanted to include.
I think it looks good, Austin.
Me too.
Okay, do you need any, you're just giving us a heads
It's
up?
just information.
Okay,
Good job.
all right, moving on, thank you. Review and consider adoption of council minutes from the 11/14/22 special meeting and 11/14/22 regular meeting, 11/15/22 joint with planning board, 11/21/22 special meeting, and 12/5/22 special meeting.
We haven't been busy at all.
You have what?
We haven't been busy at all. I don't have any changes to these.
Anyone else? I just
I'm
had
fine.
one. I just had one.
Which set of minutes, Joe?
I'm looking
He's
for it.
looking, because he didn't make a note of
I
it.
know I did. I wrote down on it. Oh, there it is. So which one is that? That is
Hold on.
November 14th, regular meeting.
November 14th, right? You can pull that up on my.
It's like the
screen.
last page.
Yeah, it's just on my comments. You made it sound like I was part of the wildlife management convention. I actually, I visited with a guest speaker. I spoke to a
You
guest.
didn't go to it. You only talked to somebody who was there.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
Yeah, so
I
it
was-
made
I
it
was
sound like
confused about
See, this is why you shouldn't make comments, because Dawson just
Have to.
missed
I know, well, I caught it, so it's all good.
Okay, so spoke with guest speakers. I will clear up that
Yeah, I
detail.
I spoke with wildlife management guest speaker, which was just good
Okay,
to
let me-
learn more about wildlife and stuff.
So I'll make that correction.
Thank you.
I am asking for a motion to adopt as amended then. For the rest,
Make a motion to adopt the minutes from 11/14/22 special, 11/14/22 regular, 11/15/22 joint with planning board, 11/21/22 special, and 12/5/22 special as amended.
So moved.
Take a breath. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up, open topics. Do we have anything?
I do.
This is a first. Andy, what you got?
So, Deputy Gallus showed me the video of the crazy driver through the roundabouts the other day. And while we were looking out the window discussing said matter, we discussed that maybe there would be, it would be a good idea to add another camera that would give not only a little bit better perspective on the Village of Marvin property, but also give law enforcement a little bit of help in seeing potential problems out there on the road. So what we discussed was possibly putting a wireless camera on one of the streetlight poles directly across from Village Hall that looks directly at our property across the road. I discussed this with Christina briefly, and basically what it would entail is buying the camera and then getting an encroachment agreement with Union Power to mount it on their pole. But it would give us increased security, and it would also help, because they couldn't get a plate number or description of the car because our camera was too far away, and with the inclement weather, it was very fuzzy. So they just couldn't really get a good hone in on the vehicle.
Would it be better on the power pole or like on one of the like directional signs that are in the roundabout?
Well, the idea on the power pole is that it is,
And you guys looked, I'm just asking.
yeah, so the idea that we were talking about after we discussed it at quite a bit of length is that on that power pole, it's basically between the two roundabouts, and with a wide angle, 180-degree view, that you could see most of the village property, including over there where the trees are, which you can't get from the building. And it also would show both directions on the straightaway between the roundabouts. So you could catch situations happening at both roundabouts and possibly get descriptions and plates from.
I have a
things going on.
comment. Is Deputy Ed Swan in the room?
Yes, he is.
What is the legality? I mean, it's a good idea, but what is the legality? Because I know that Charlotte ran into that problem where they were taking pictures of people going through red lights, and they, stopped that because of some law. Was it just Mecklenburg, or can it apply to Union?
Mecklenburg County lost their red lights because they were, the company that was running it was supposed to only take a portion of the money, and the rest was supposed to go to the city. And what the company was doing is taking 90% of it to give them 10% to the city. The other thing too with that is they had successful challenges to it, because if you come up to a light and your back wheels clear the stop line going into the intersection, whether that light turns red or not, you're not in violation of running that light because you made it into the intersection when that light was yellow. So they got in trouble for that too. And that's the reason why they got rid of it. It had nothing to do with taking pictures of license plates or anything like that.
But my question would be, and I appreciate the comment about that, but my appreciation, are we now into the road business where we're monitoring who's down there? Or are we more concerned with the security? Do we have good eyes on the village?
Security on Village Hall.
Well, and
that's where I'd want to focus, not necessarily on the road. The fact that we caught the car.
That incident you were talking about, I saw that video too, and that guy ended up in the field over there. And he
Right.
got caught, but-
Well, and that's what I'm saying, is that this gives us a much better view of our property here that our cameras that are on the building can't see because they're obstructed by vegetation and such. So it would give us a broader and a different angle of our property.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to be necessarily focusing on the road.
The reality of the cameras, we have, the sheriff's office has several cameras, some of the main infrastructure in the county. I think we have 12 now, and they monitor those cameras all the time. I don't think there's any legal, kind of problem for anything that can come back on the village.
Chaplain, right, know that.
Yeah, I agree. You're on a public road and it's public space, so there's no expectation of privacy. I think.
But I'm just saying, is that what we want to get into?
That's a separate policy issue.
And it's a byproduct. It's not the main concern. The main concern is that we have a better view of village property from one extra camera with a different angle. Because we are limited, especially on this corridor over here where we can't see.
I mean, roundabouts are, they're not technically, I guess they are ours because we maintain them. So, if somebody's out driving through the middle of them, I'd like to be able to know that.
So Christina, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I noticed the vehicle sitting in the parking lot here, and I actually pulled in and.
That was not smart, by the way. It could have been an expert.
Could have been. Yeah, it's still here.
Man,
I don't know how to
we're
defend.
not that lucky.
Anyways, I had a conversation. Did we pick up much from, looking at our cameras right now, maybe this is a question for our, our officers are we getting a good view of what, because I'm quite frankly more concerned of damage that may be done, vandalizing, anything?
Well,
Yeah.
and again, to Kim's point, we've invested a lot of money and time into these roundabouts. And if we can't monitor what's happening, who's destroying, driving through what we've built out there, that just gives us eyes on that as well. And the property at large. I mean, it's a different angle.
We're not gonna solve it today, so I would say I'm very open to discussing and maybe getting staff to kind of figure out we would be talking to and what that would entail and cost wise and all that, and just put it on the agenda for the future.
Yeah, you can put it on a work session and talk about it further.
Be good.
I'm good with that. Anyone else?
Yes.
Oh, boy, 2. Dang.
3. We had, this.
Oh.
You'll notice here that we're expanding our reach or feeling out here, the 28 acres across Array Road. As far as what hopefully in the future take over. I think that we need to look again, and we spoke about this earlier, 320 some acres that was donated to Charlotte Country Day School. I think we need to reach out to them and see what their plans are. If we could be part of that, if we could help them. I think we need to be proactive.
Where is this at?
It's between Crane Road and Providence Road, 320 some acres. When Ennis goes down, all that land comes back behind it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the land you're talking about is actually in Weddington's municipal boundaries. I can double check, but is it that big property that's like right before you come up on the intersection?
It's across from Ennis Road. It runs solid from Ray Road.
Great.
Ray Road. I don't know how far it goes down. I think it just goes down.
I think that's in our compensation zone.
So why don't we have a discussion about this separately, and I'll put it on the work session. We
Okay.
can figure out who owns it.
Okay. Next up, Jamie.
We all know the incident happened in Marvin Day, and when the stage, the roof fell down, we had the Ryan Perry band, their stuff got damaged. They still haven't got paid for it. I think it's an absolute just disgrace that we got into an agreement with a company to put up a stage that is basically trying to just run away from what happened. I don't know if there's a means or a way that we can use the village umbrella policy to help them out. We're talking about $2,000. But this is, even the bands that come out here, these folks do this part-time. This is not something they don't have major record labels floating in millions of dollars. We're talking about $2,000 worth of equipment that they had to reach back in their pocket to get taken care of. I hope that company never sets up another stage. I hope they go out of business, and I go on record to say it. You don't treat people that way. I also don't want the Village of Marvin to treat someone who went out there and did a great job and treat them that way. And I know it's not our liability. I realize that. I don't know if there's a way to do it, but I think what happened, and I'm furious over it. Yes, he is a friend of mine. But that's not the way you treat people. Even if he wasn't a friend of mine, that's not the way we treat people.
And so there's no insurance from the original company, stage company, that they can't make a claim against that insurance company.
They're handling it themselves. The stage company is.
Or what?
The stage company is handling it themselves to try to fight the claim.
And they've gone dark.
And
this is not something that happened like a month ago. This happened. I mean, it happened a long time ago, and they're just basically just running from it. But that doesn't, in my mind, that doesn't mean this was our Marvin Day. Is it wrong for us to run from it? And again, I know there's legal steps to it, and I know there's insurance steps to it. But I'm not going to sit back. I won't let it sit back, because I'll pull the money out of my pocket.
And the concern is going forward too, as we have these stage companies, are we not doing the due diligence with the insurance to make sure that kind of stuff is covered? Right?
I mean, we've got to have some sort of liability because we hired them.
And that's where I was going with this. Did we miss something when we were hiring that company that they didn't have the proper insurance?
Oh, I think they've got insurance. When you get amounts that are smaller, $2,000.
Right.
A lot of business policies will have a $5,000 deductible or a higher. Or some of you may know automobiles where even if your deductible is lower, that you don't want to turn it into insurance. So
Right.
they're like, we're going to handle it. Well, they've been trying to handle it and
they're not.
they've been requesting more information. And I know that Christina has been involved.
Small claims.
Come on.
I don't know.
I recently sent a letter to try to facilitate.
I know, and I'm aware of all of that, but at what point do we go, I mean, he's got to perform. He's got a book that he performs 5 times a month, and here he's dug in his pocket, and here we've.
Right.
It's absurd. And I hope I would never let them do it. I know the stage company that's coming in this year. I recommended them and I stand behind them. I know what they're capable of doing. I just think it's really sad.
Is there a way that we can have our own gap insurance policy for these low deductibles that will pick up these deductibles in case that there's another situation such as this in the future?
I can check on that. I mean, I think the ask here is if the village is willing to do anything to help offset the impact to the musician is what I think the ask is. And I'd have to check to confirm the exact amount, but it was somewhere in the $2,500 range. I think it was $2,200 if I'm not mistaken. So I think the ask is if the village is willing to help out the band because of the situation that happened from the stage collapsing and the failure of the stage company to basically produce.
Can we
The
go
thing
out?
is, if we file our insurance, it's not going to meet our deductible is going to be higher than that. So it would literally be us taking money out of our savings account to fund
Is there not
the
like a-
deficit.
I mean, can we not go after them and fight it on their behalf? And
I mean, you look at the amount involved and then it's really we weren't as damaged. We hired, but then the musician was damaged.
But the sheer thought of them having to go to claims court and hire an attorney, maybe that gets them a little fire under their.
Hey, Bob, does this sound familiar? I got 30,000 reasons while this is complete BS.
Yeah.
And this is what happened when government gets involved.
Yeah.
Because everybody finds a way out of something, but they never find a way to resolve something.
But that's what I'm asking. Is there I know you can have gap insurance on your vehicle or, it covers what you're missing, but is there something that?
But the deductible, we're talking about.
No, I get this, but, don't misunderstand. What I'm asking is there a way that we can prevent this from happening again? I'm not saying anything about this particular situation, but I'm looking in the future. Is there any way that we can do something that will prevent this from ever
That
happening
has a
again?
little more teeth in it, because what we're finding is, doesn't sound like we have any teeth.
We can get what's called a tulip policy with the league, which is some like event coverage. We can definitely look into that. And I can bring that to you all at the work session for information on that. But for purposes of this request,
Right.
there's nothing that we can do that would retroactively address this. So I think
Right.
the question still remains, is the village willing to do anything to offset the cost or the damage done to the musician?
Can we
can we?
put this on a work session to discuss it further, that we can
Yeah. Because
and
let's do that.
Okay.
It probably should be anyway.
because I agree with you, Jamie. It doesn't, it's not right and stuff, but it's it's not the right thing to do. And there's a right way about going about things,
I
but
agree.
there's a couple things that can come out of this. To Andy's point, what we do going forward, and if there's anything we can do to make up for that.
So two things. I will look into the tulip policy, add it to the work session. I'll also add this topic of helping offset that cost to the next work session. Wanted to remind you that we did actually miss the agenda change add-on that we did, moving from the consent to the new business. Number 8, the stage contract. We need to go back to that.
Really fast, I just wanted to clarify. Me and Hunter did identify the parcels that Wayne was talking about. They're technically within Weddington's boundaries and in their annexation areas. So they're ineligible for annexation with us.
Okay, so do you want us to still reach out to him, Wayne? I mean, it's in Weddington.
We legally can't annex them, is what I'm saying.
I don't want to annex them. I would like to reach out and ask them to work with them or what their plans are for it.
Oh, so we want
I'm
to,
not, just not annex them, but to say, we're from Marvin, this is right on our boundaries or whatever.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? There's rumors that they're thinking about in a number of years, moving all the buildings outside of Charlotte because they're all crowded. They don't have room.
Okay,
So let us reach out. We're going to reach out to the town of Weddington and talk to their planning department. We're going to see what they know, and then we can go from there and talk to the property
I
owner.
just
Okay,
think,
can we go back to the stage contract?
yeah, we can. Let's just finish this really quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we'll do that. Jamie, we're gonna work on it, because I agree with you. I don't think that it doesn't feel good.
But, no, I'm not going to hit the money. Because it's.
No, because you're never gonna be able to get paid back then.
Well, fuck, I'm out $30,000.
Well, I know, so don't be out another 2,200. Just, I mean, let's wait and see what we can do, because if you pay it out of your pocket, you're never gonna get paid back.
And I'm, don't get me wrong, Jamie, I'm not saying that I don't want to help them. I do. I just want, but I also want to try to prevent this moving forward as well.
I'm with you, and I
Yeah.
appreciate everyone's concern with it. I just think this is so bad.
Oh, I know.
I mean. It
Just
It
don't.
just discourages you. It discourages, if I was a band, if I called him again, I'd be like, nah, brother, because last time you guys hung me out to dry. Bob and I, next time you want to run, I'm gonna go, I tell everybody, well, I don't know if I want to run, because last time Bob and I got hung out to dry for not $300, not $3,000, $30,000.
I agree. I agree 100%. And I know it would impact.
Somebody that's trying to just, he's trying to, he's out there every day hustling it to make the money.
Okay, so instead of putting it on the work session, let's put it on the regular meeting, and let's get an answer one way or the other. Don't wait till the end of January.
Okay, we can do that. January 10th.
Okay.
We also forgot to come back to, there's another item that we added on in unfinished, I believe.
Snake.
That was added to the consent.
But no, I moved it to new business.
Oh,
and we
okay.
skipped
So
it.
just
We
need
missed
to
it.
Suspend the motion, to
Yeah.
suspend the rules and.
I make a motion to suspend the rules and go back to new business number 7. We missed it. It's the consideration of the stage contract for Marvin Day.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So who has that?
I have that. So the item is actually in your agenda packet under consent. The total financial obligation at the time of print of the agenda was $3,800. However, we haven't actually met with the stage vendor today, and there's a couple of changes I want to make to this contract to increase the stage size and therefore increasing the cost. So I'm just going to ask you to approve the contract as presented with some minor modifications made to what you see at a cost not to exceed $5,000.
We need a bigger stage.
Bigger stage and then a generator.
I got a generator.
Okay, we can work on that.
Yeah.
But I would like to at least have the authority to have the 5,000.
Okay.
It's got a generator too, if you guys need it. It's a 8,000 watt.
We got a
generator.
generator outside.
Yeah.
I don't think we can move that one.
So, like for Vince's party, all the generators, I supplied all the generators and all that kind of stuff. So we got.
Okay. we
You
can
got
work
a
on that.
guy?
So then if you all could just consider the
All right.
agreement as presented with minor modifications made, not to exceed 5,000.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion to approve the stage contract as presented with minor modifications, not as presented, with minor modifications, not to exceed $5,000,
Yeah, minor modifications is approved by the.
as approved by the village manager, not to exceed $5,000.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And then I had one last open topic.
We did approve the budget.
I did get a call from a county commissioner, very concerned with what transpired at the Monday meeting, and then they held a special meeting, and he asked me to go on to YouTube to take a look at that. But he's very concerned about the direction of where the county is going with the new majority, if you will. He has offered to come sit down with us and bring the other county commissioner and with talking to, or making a plan to WUMA to be at this next meeting that's coming up, I think, next week or Monday. But he was making himself available with the county commissioner if anyone wanted to meet with him. So is there any interest from any council members to meet with the county commissioner?
Sure.
I mean, with all of them.
Well,
I know, we need to.
I know.
No,
I think two of the newly elected ones are basically following suit, and, you know, with the one who I guess, well, it's public information. They fired a town planner that just got county manager sorry, county manager that just got employee of the year or month, I'm not sure. But anyways, there's a lot of concerns from what's going on in the direction that they're going as far as, because this will affect or could affect Heritage District and what we are planning as well. And we may want to consider how we approach WUMA and how we get in front of them and what we want to say to make it clear. There's power in numbers. The majority of the tax dollars are paid from Western and Union County. And, you know, we just got to have our voice heard. So I can reach out to them, Jamie, if you're available, and we can get something this week. And I think we can even have one more probably, right? Or no?
Yes, me.
Third person. Okay. All right. Well, I'll get with you guys, and Christine, I may need some assistance in coordinating when, but I'll get to that. That's all I had with that. Next up, we have a review of action items.
Mic here, so I actually can record this later. We're gonna send, Hunter's gonna make that spelling correction and we'll send the letter to WUMA. I'll talk to Derek about getting quotes for the plants for the Village Hall landscaping. I'll send you all calendar invites for coffee with council. I'll make that quick change to the minutes. Let's see. Next PRG meeting, we'll put on there to discuss screening the parking lot and replacing the dead plants. I'll talk to Jen about that and just prepare for the meeting. Christina will request to remove the bus stop and the preserve to the center of the neighborhood, and we'll report back at a future meeting. Hunter will prepare that resolution of opposition to the rezoning proposal on Crane Road. Christina will look into event coverage and bring back at the work session. Christina will, let's see. We'll discuss the situation with the damage from the stage collapse at the next regular meeting. Myself and Hunter will reach out to the town of Weddington and Charlotte Country Day School about what's going on with their property. And I think that's it.
Anything else from anyone else? All right, thank you. Next up, we have review ongoing action items.
Can we just rename that my list?
Kim's
list.
Yeah.
I had to revenge your
Yeah, like
procedure, but I can
Angie's.
call it Kim's list if you want it to be.
Kenny, that'd be nice. Okay, you ready, Austin?
Hold on, gotta get.
Austin. I'm just gonna ask some questions while you're getting ready. Christina, are we 100% sure that Union Power is putting in streetlights at the new roundabout?
Yes.
So we're good. Thank you, Christina. You look just like her.
We're checking.
So we're good with that, so we can complete that, like 100%.
Yes, the intent is basically that they've already got the easements needed on top of, from my understanding, submitted their lighting plan to DOT. All of that just has to be approved and obviously will be installed.
I would just keep it on here because we
Yeah.
need to monitor and make sure.
Okay. So we,
It should be installed right during the construction, if not right at the end of the round.
okay, so do we need to get a new survey for that? It's all jokes. Okay.
And I am ready, so.
Crosswalks are for sure on the list too.
Yes,
So do you want to leave that on there too? Okay.
that should be in there.
Wasn't on the plans already?
I feel like we have irrigation for the pocket park on here twice. So we should probably just combine those.
You feel like it or you see it?
I mean, I see it. It's the first one. It's that one that I just came to and then the last one.
Okay.
So Austin, if you want to complete that. Okay, so I see that, okay, you can complete the WUMA letter. Austin's still working on that. Jill, do we have the dunk tank? Oh, she's not sitting there. Jill, do we have the dunk tank?
Oh, I think we do, but we'll get that.
Okay.
She's made all, she has told me she has secured that, or at least I think she did.
Well, I'll see, everybody thinks so, but let's just make sure. 100 beer and wine trucks.
He's working on that. We'll have an update at the next Marvin Day committee meeting. And then we'll present back to
I
him.
mean, he threw his voice all the way over there to you. I mean, I know. Okay, you, Christina, you purchased the pavers for the flagpole.
I
Yes.
did.
So now we need to put it on the list for you to do it.
So Christina was gonna have them go ahead and get it, and I told her to leave it at the yard. They have plenty in stock. They've got it earmarked for us, so we didn't have to move it twice. So then when I get ready to do this, we'll
You'll do
bring
it.
it up and
Okay.
do it. So I'm finishing things off my list. I finished the lights. I've got to do.
They look great,
finish
by the way.
Sheetrock repairs.
They look great, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
so I will be moving on to the pavers.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Couldn't have done it without
Is there a
Jamie.
way to get the village of Marvin highlighted in the
There-
dark?
There is, and one other note, if I may, without getting in trouble, on the lighting. I did ask Christina her opinion and she agreed that, I'm gonna put some can lights in the bulletin board in the,
Oh, yeah, we talked
overhang.
about that. Yeah.
and light them with low voltage. We'll just put the low voltage lights in them.
Okay.
So they shine down.
Perfect. Okay. That's it. That's on my list. But if you could change that, that'd make me so happy.
Anybody else?
Everybody wants to make me happy.
All right. Moving on to
Lord knows
council
what happens when
comments.
you're- Miss Jill,
Jill, do you have the duct tape secured?
We do.
Okay, perfect.
there it is.
Off my list.
I'll get off her list.
And we're gonna save tons of money because we're gonna pick it up and bring it back ourselves. So we're saving lots of money.
Awesome.
What kind of vehicle do you need?
We're gonna use the Marvin
Oh,
Village truck. Tow it.
Most people try to at least.
All right, moving on, council comments, Bob Arena.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't be there. I had a medical procedure, so, but thank you for accommodating me and, I'll be there at the planning board meeting on Thursday. Otherwise, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, both on the council and, obviously the staff. This is just one heck of a great group of people that, I've ever been associated with, especially in such a short time where we're all strangers and we've all come together. And it really heartened me to look at some of those logo and branding works and go, wow, we did that. That was cool. So Merry Christmas, everybody.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
I'm good.
Good. I want to thank the staff. I want to thank the law enforcement of the area. I want to thank my fellow council members and Merry Christmas to one and all. Merry Christmas. Thank you. Jamie? I thought the Christmas tree lighting we had in the parade was a special driver. The sleigh looked great. But no, thanks for law enforcement.
Elf. You gotta
The elf
mention
was
the
good. I'll
elf.
get the elf. He's on my list.
Yeah,
Don't forget to mention the elf.
The elf's on my list.
But I mean, the fire department, Union County Sheriff's Office, PRG Board, everyone did a great job. I mean, that was really a special event for everyone that was there. And so thanks for everyone involved with that and putting that on. Also, special thanks to someone who, every time I come in here, and I'm here quite a bit, he's always here and he's always working. Thanks to Andy. I mean, the landscape lights are great. The patches on the wall and stuff like that.
They look great.
When people, you know, when they think we just come in here and we do a couple of council events and that's it. They don't see everything that each person on this council and staff do. And so thanks to Andy for all that. And as always, Ed, you and Tommy, be safe out there. Thanks for all you do. You do something that 98% of people won't do. So thanks and be safe. And everyone have a great Christmas.
Thank you. Kimberly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you, staff, for everything. Thank you for a wonderfully planned and executed volunteer appreciation evening last night. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for all that came, and we missed those who weren't able to attend. Bob Moreno, I got a little present here for you at Village Hall. It's in the refrigerator. So whenever you come on Thursday, check it out. Your name's on it.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. I'm sorry I missed it too.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So, I appreciate it, Austin and Jill, for organizing everything. It was a lot of fun. And just thank you, staff, for everything that you do, and Ed and Tommy, we appreciate you guys a lot. And yeah, to everybody, just Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and everybody be safe out there if anybody's going anywhere, and leave your lights on and lock your doors.
Thank you, Kim. I too would like to thank staff, obviously for the ongoing work you do, but especially just recently the help in loading the trailer for the French Tree that we did. Specific shout out to Bob Nonkamp for organizing and help coordinating that. He and I went out there, and I will tell you what Union County is doing when you walk in that, and I have pictures of it, when you walk in that facility, how many toys and kids are in need of it. So it was just a great thing. I took pictures for my kids because they think, but I'd also like to just a shout out to the residents who signed up to be a part of that and participating in that. It was very successful, and we filled that trailer, my trailer. So I too want to thank, we came in and saw Andy and Jamie working on the lighting and wanted to make note of that. The staff appreciation party last night, I think, was a great function to have to appreciate the staff as we do, and wanted to thank Kim and Mike for opening up their home to host it, and I suggest maybe we do that every year. So, but thank you, Mike, for opening up your home. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate this time of year. Happy New Year, because we won't see some of you before on the New Year's out. I am sorry I missed the lighting thing, but I had a fun event on the weekend, and just want to shout out to my wife. First marathon, she ran it in 4 hours and 20 minutes, and she ranked fourth in her age class. I won't mention the age class.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
But we don't do that. But she fourth, her first marathon, and it was just so proud. I'm just so proud of her for doing that, because the only place I run is when I'm chased, of course.
You have your replacement did an excellent job representing the family.
That's what I heard, and I heard the event was phenomenal. So I appreciate all those that came out for the tree lighting and all those who participated too. And with that, so we're going into closed session.
Yeah. Closed session.
I need a motion to go into closed session.
I make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to, it doesn't say.
NCGS.
3318.11A1 for review of closed session minutes.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Bye.
Bye, Bob.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
And Bob, you don't have to.
You have our closed session minutes. They're not on here, are they? Are they? Okay. Do I need to take this